this a sports show?
We're here for a one-on-one interview with our friend Travis Kelsey. Travis, I know you listen to a lot of Almost Entirely Sports. What do you think about Joshua Brisco and Pierce McFly?
I mean, I don't think they suck. I can tell you that.
Thank you, Travis.
Almost Entirely.
I did the best I could. That's our new tagline. It's Almost Entirely Sports on Sports Radio 810. I did the best I could.
This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
Hey, Beards, where's your Pokeball?
So Rudy and I have our Pokeballs out.
Yeah.
What?
Beards, where's yours?
Beards, take your Pokeball out. Come on, it's not as much fun if we don't all have our Pokeballs out.
I haven't bought mine yet.
Take the show with you by listening on the Sports Radio 810 mobile app at 810WHB.com or by searching for Almost Entirely Sports wherever you get your podcasts.
I love walking into Home Depot and go down the wood section.
This is Almost Entirely Sports on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Hello from beautiful, sunny Los Angeles. If I'm being honest, it's hello from the inside of the slightly chilly convention center, but nonetheless, we are live from LA, the city of angles, here on Almost Entirely Sports. That's the
God,
phrase,
I love
right?
those
That's the
angles.
saying?
They have the best angles out there.
The best angles anywhere here in Los Angeles. I am Joshua Brisco. That is Rudy Salazar. He's back in the studio in Kansas City. I mean, in Overland Park, I guess.
I'll
but
tell
the
you this
greater-
much. If you're an angler, KC's not the place to be. It's Los Angeles, the city of angles.
That's if you're a professional angler, that is what it means. It's like being a geometry expert. I almost said I almost invented the word geometrist, but I don't think that's a thing.
Also, I believe angler is also like a professional word for fisherman.
Yeah, that's the joke that I was doing. Is that not the joke you were doing?
That is the joke I was doing. I thought maybe you didn't get it, but I get it. You got it, but you were going a different way.
This is like that parable
It's the delay.
where the you know what, Rudy? It might be the delay.
Definitely the delay.
Could have been the delay. Oh, yep, that hit. It's like that parable where, you know, the woman has her long, luxurious hair and the man has a beloved pocket watch. And for Christmas, he sells his pocket watch to buy her a hairbrush. And she shaves her head and sells her hair so she can buy him a chain for his pocket watch. I don't remember if they're both miserable or if they're both happy at the end. I can't really remember the point of it. I think that parable might have just been about communicating with your spouse. I'm really not sure what the point of that one was, but I do remember it. So I guess if it had a purpose, I guess it worked. But that's what happened here, is that I got the joke, but I wasn't sure if you got the joke. You got the joke, but weren't sure if I got the joke. We explained the joke to ourselves. Someone in the audience maybe heard that and was like, oh, I'm glad they explained it, but certainly not glad they spent the next 4 minutes breaking it down, you know?
Well, they say that, I mean, here's the thing. You come to sports radio to hear us break down many things, right?
Yeah.
Chiefs games.
Yeah.
Chiefs games.
Uh-huh.
Some more Chiefs games. Occasionally a KU game. You know, once every 2 weeks a Royals game, but Chiefs games. And then jokes.
Yeah, more or less. That sounds about right. And today you might get, you know what, you're going to get just a sprinkling of an NBA look back. Because we were able, as you heard in the Space-Time Continuum of the show yesterday, Jordan and I and the whole gang here, we went to Lakers-Bucks last night. That was a lot of fun. My second NBA game in real life after the, whatever we decided it was, the 2014 Suns or something. It was, you know, there were a few more Hall of Famers on the floor last night. But also, again, we get to talk about the experience of being here at Radio Row. At some point, you know what, I might just bleep around and talk about Rams Bengals. I don't know if that's too wild for you, but I might just do that at some point.
Still hurts.
Still
hurts a little bit.
You might hear some mentions of that over the course of tonight's Almost Entirely Sports, and you may hear that be brought up between myself and a pretty good guest list.
This is going to be the second time that you've been at Radio Row knowing that the Rams were playing the wrong team.
Yes.
Just the wrong team.
Maybe it's my fault. Maybe whenever I go to Radio Row, it's going to be Rams versus not the Chiefs.
Just not. The one saving grace is, because I just remember this last time when everybody was like, why are you rooting for the Patriots? It was because simply I cannot live in a world in which Jared Goff wins a Super Bowl before Patrick Mahomes. Here's the thing. Mahomes got his Super Bowl, and I like Matt Stafford. So I absolutely can live in a world in which the Rams win this one if it means Matt Stafford gets the Super Bowl. But I cannot live in a world in which Joe Burrow Burrow, I can't roll my R's, has the same amount of Super Bowl wins as Patrick Mahomes.
You can't roll your R's?
Nope. Not a skill I have.
This could be problematic, but your last name is Salazar.
It's just not a skill. I can go Joe. Well, let me wet the lips a little bit.
Yep, go ahead and moisten those
I can
up,
go
and I'll
Joe
tell you the guest list.
Burrow, but that's more of a lip flapping than a roll.
That's a raspberry.
Yeah.
You just blew a raspberry there.
Yep.
Okay, well,
It's not a skill.
I'm not that excited about Joe Burrow.
Oh, that was good.
That was my Cardi B, I think, by accident there. But I am glad to be talking to you, Rudy Salazar. I don't know. I guess it's a skill I do have. I don't know.
Stole the nickname right from Joe Montana. Just uncool.
Cool, Joe. So let me hit you with the guest list here tonight, so you all can decide if you want to stick around for this edition of Almost Entirely Sports, or
You do.
know, as you drive around your life, as you're up next to an old school transistor radio or something. You think, should I check out the podcast later of what I missed? Here's an offering, okay? Just maybe one of these people will appeal to you. At 8 o'clock tonight, 8 o'clock Central Time, straight up, 6 o'clock my time here in sunny Los Angeles. At 8 o'clock, we will talk to, let me check my notes, Warren Moon. Does that interest you? Yeah, it does. It's Warren bleeping Moon. What are you talking about? Don't go anywhere. That's at 8. After that, we're talking to Suzy Shuster. You may not immediately recognize her name. She has done a million things in every angle of the sports media world. She is also doing something very cool as a part of the Rich Eisen radio empire, and also has a very specific title, the Rich Eisen radio empire, which is that she's married to him. And I got to tell you, I think she's the star of the two. I'm not being sarcastic.
I was going to say, you just want to say that she's the reason why Rich Eisen has a media empire. I think that's fine.
I think that's fine.
I don't, Rich deserves credit. Man he is a talented man, right? But here's the thing. How often do we see talented people throughout life squander said talents? We see it all the time. Because if you don't have somebody necessarily to harness said talent, to direct said talent, to point the talent in the right direction. Here's the thing. Rich Eisen clearly knew what he lacked, what he didn't have in his life, what he needed to be great. He went and got it.
I'm gonna say this. I'm not giving him any credit for how good she is at this.
That's fair.
0. None. And because he doesn't deserve it and she doesn't need it. Look, we've spent some time in the space-time continuum over these last couple shows. We're going to spend it over the course of the week. I'm going to look into my crystal ball. I'm going to look into my crystal ball. I'm going to look into the future. I'm going to tell you that if you do not know who she is right now, by the end of the show tonight, you will be subscribed to Just Getting Started wherever you get your podcast. That's my prediction for you. You might go from not knowing her name at the beginning of this show tonight to being obsessed with the fact that she should be doing more things out on the front side of a lot of the sports world. She's, again, produced and reported and done just about everything that anyone can do in the media landscape, and just deserves to be heard. I will tell you that confidently. If you trust my judge of good radio at all, you're going to want to hear from Suzy. And if you don't, fair enough. But so Warren Moon at 8, immediately after Suzy Shuster, who's gonna knock your socks off. And then after that, Kyle Turley, who you may remember from his many years in the NFL, also his campaigning after his career for a couple of things. One is against the opioid problem the NFL has, talking about his story and nearly being driven to suicide because of his opioid addiction that was born out of this, his concerns and belief that that he has CTE. He's been diagnosed with a couple of early onset brain issues, and he's been very open with his story there. I'm guessing most people have heard that already. Well, what you might not have heard is what it was that helped pull him out of that place. So basically, we're going to talk about cannabis with Kyle Turley for a good chunk of time at some point tonight, and the project and the company that he is a part of, and what that did for him in and out of his NFL career. He's a remarkably interesting person who also has a pretty nice music career in his own right. We're in most interesting man in the world territory, and that is in the 8 o'clock hour. That is the 8 o'clock hour of tonight's show.
And that's obviously when the show ends, right? After the 8 o'clock hour, Josh?
Christian Okoye at 9.
Whoa.
You heard me. Christian Okoye at 9 o'clock here on Almost Entirely Sports. Does that interest you? After that, We'll have a little.
It does, yes.
It does. It should. It should.
I'm very interested.
Because he's the Nigerian nightmare. What are you doing?
More like
You're not tuning in for that.
my Nigerian dream interview. It wasn't as good as I was hoping it would
was
be,
good, dude.
but I'm good with it.
Don't sell yourself short. I enjoyed that.
Thank you.
So Christian Okoye at 9 o'clock. After that, it is myself, Bonnie, Jill Laughlin, and Bob Golic, and USMC Sergeant BJ Ganem. You'll figure out why I chuckled over the acronym if you stick around. That's an Easter egg you can get whenever we get there in the last hour of the show, and then we'll wrap things up from Radio Row. But there's your guest list for the. I mean, come on, that's one of the fun things about Radio Row, man. And I'll tell you this, Rudy, you and I went to Atlanta for Radio Row several years back. The last two were in Florida. One was like almost completely wiped out due to COVID, and then in Tampa last year was sort of a little bit of a 1 foot in, 1 foot out sort of thing.
It was more online than I think in person, if I remember right. There was definitely some in person.
I'm sorry, I flipped those also.
Some people.
By the way, yeah, it was last year in Tampa was pretty
quiet.
Very virtual because of COVID. Miami, I heard was crazy. I don't know why I meshed those two together. I didn't go to either of those, and so in my mind, neither of them really happened. It's like there's like doing a Radio Row without.
Because the Miami one was when Patrick Mahomes helped save America by limiting the spread of a horrible disease that ultimately did spread and shut things down. But think of how bad it could have been.
Patrick
not for
Mahomes
Patrick
bought
Mahomes.
us some time.
He bought us some time.
If you don't remember that story, by the way, that was a real thing where they're like, oh, yeah, if San Francisco would have had a Super Bowl parade, it would have been like the first super spreader event in all likelihood, or at least a very early, very large one.
It was
but it hadn't really hit us yet, so we were good.
It was a much better joke early on, when things hadn't gotten too bad. And then things got really, really bad. Everywhere was like, oh, well, I guess it still got bad.
Yeah.
But he bought us some time.
But
he gave us maybe an extra month of joy before.
Yeah,
the world came crashing down.
I think that the Super Bowl parade will forever, I guess, be the last pre-COVID memory that I have. And obviously the Big 12 tournament is where things started really kind of hitting the fan. But in terms of something like untouched by COVID, I think Laurent Duvernay-Tardif even somebody asked him leading up to the Super Bowl about COVID-19, and he was like, I don't really know what that is. He talked about that much later after the fact, looking back at kind of how that all started. Anyway, I don't want to start tonight's show with 15 minutes of COVID talk. So
it's Super Bowl. It's a celebration.
Yeah. But we got all sorts of vaccine and testing and mask policies around here. I feel pretty good. It's all nice and spread out here in the convention center, and I've got more boosters in my body than I think might be recommended, and I've had more COVID tests swabbed up these nostrils to the point that I haven't had to blow my nose in 6 months.
I've been banned from getting more boosters.
Yeah, they keep asking, like, hey, can I
I'm on a list.
I'm trying to catch them all, I'm trying to collect all of the various vaccines. And
the no-fly list? I'm on the no-shot list. No more boosters.
Not because you're against them.
No.
I've
had too many
for them that they don't want to give you anymore.
I've had too many. They don't do anything at this point anymore.
We are still in COVID territory, and now we're talking about how Rudy's a secret anti-vaxxer.
That's not true. Don't say that on the radio.
I just wanted you to say that it wasn't true, and then we could move on. I needed you to refute it for your
I'm
sake.
the opposite. I love vaccines too much, some would say.
That's right. Is there any?
Give me
such thing?
all the shots.
I don't have
vaccines.
polio. I've never had polio or the mumps or rubella. That's one, right? That was one there was a vaccine for. I listen to Sawbones.
Aspen on the Twitch says, have you guys ever gone back and listened to the pod episodes the night the Jazz Thunder game got canceled? It's wild to listen to that after the fact. I have not, but I have thought about it multiple times. I remember. I barely remember shows 2 seconds after they end. Literally. I remember that show.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, that was bonkers. Anywho,
and here we are. Now we're it's because it's
back,
coming,
baby.
It's coming full circle, right? Like this is what it was like. We went to a Super Bowl. We got to go to got to go to a parade. Then the world kind of shut down. Now we're back at Super Bowls.
And out here at Radio Row, the reason I was sort of going to pre and act more, pre and peak COVID times, I suppose you could say, is that out here it really it feels like we're picking up speed on the on ramp, back to how it used to be, if you will. And I've just had a really good time out here with the 810 gang that made the trip and the guests that we will talk to in the future. Don't think about it too hard. I know I'm gonna have a good time. Almost it's against the crystal ball thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that we can see things that haven't yet happened. It's a skill that we have that only exists within the confines of radio.
Yeah.
But being out here and seeing all of these different tables of these different stations. You've got the national spaces all around you, and you can see, the giant Sirius XM and Fox Sports and all of that. I can see the Le Batard Show / Meadowlark Media booth from where we're at. Saw a couple members of the crew there walking around today, and then you also have all of these local stations, including the wonderful ESPN Wichita. Come on, folks, what are you doing? If you're not already enjoying the wonderful airwaves we're tickling down there in Wichita, 92.3. But we've got all these local stations and also some virtual and digital ones and all of that, and it's just been really nice. And maybe this is, again, why we've ended up talking about COVID by accident, but it's just been really nice to experience this again and to look around and see something that feels familiar from the pre-pandemic time, and to just be able to talk about a lot of fun stuff with a lot of fun people. And that'll continue all week long, but it's going to be hard to beat our opening night lineup here. Again, Warren Moon will kick that off from a guest perspective in about 40 minutes or so. So it's been a fun day out here. It's going to be a great show tonight, almost as if I can already confirm that because of my future seeking ability. And also, so let me tell you about yesterday. So yesterday we fly down to LA. First time it's the second time for me being in the state of California. I've been in the state of California on 2 occasions now. The first time I was in the state of California, I didn't know it. Not because I was a baby, or a toddler, or hammered, or because I was a tired, hammered baby.
Just bad at maps.
I just was walking around, and I got very lost. No, we went to Tahoe for the American Century Championship. What was that now? That was 2.5 years ago? 3, almost?
Yeah.
Pre-COVID.
About
Pre-COVID
3.
again.
I would say
That's
probably about 2.5. Yeah. Because we're in February.
So we went out to that. And had a good time out there. And at one point, we crossed the Nevada-California state line to have dinner, and then came back across the state line to do all of the stuff in Lake Tahoe. And Tahoe's kind of it's right there, and you literally I think walked over the state line, and I didn't realize that until after someone else had mentioned it once we were back on the Nevada side. So here in LA, obviously my first time in LA, and really my first real sort of California trip. And last night we went to Lakers Bucks. And there's a couple of stereotypes that were proven true to me in that game. There's also a couple of universal truths that were proven true to me in that game. I had a wonderful time watching a wild basketball game, not because it got a little close in the fourth quarter, but because we talked about last night on the show. We talked about my and Jordan's various NBA trip experiences in that game in Mavs Suns that I saw back in 2014 or whatever. I think off the top of my head there were 2 future Hall of Famers playing in that game, being Dirk Nowitzki and Alex Len. Might have been more than that, but definitely those 2.
I didn't see the video. I just saw a tweet last night that simply said Alex Len is trying.
Oh, no.
And I forgot to click on the video to see what happened and then ultimately send it to you and Jordan, but I just assume it couldn't have been good.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like a compliment. But so last night we go to the game, and it is LeBron, Anthony Davis, Russell Westbrook. Carmelo was in street clothes, but I saw him with my own eyes.
We both have.
Say again?
We both now seen Carmelo Anthony. I got to watch him play back in when he was with the Nuggets.
yeah, we've got that shared experience now of having seen Carmelo Anthony from a decent distance. He was on the other side of the floor and everything, just sitting over there, but we found him. And then on the Bucks side, you get the whole cast and crew of the high level role players. I don't want to be offensive to Chris Middleton, right? Like I don't want to call him a role player, but you have some really good players, and Giannis, and also Grayson Allen, which best player on the floor clearly, and White Dante. They have Grayson Allen and Dante DiVincenzo. That was just a little extra sprinkle on top. But first of all, the game was not close almost ever until mid to late fourth quarter. But honestly, it was one of those moments, and I wonder if people do this more often than I think about doing it. Especially watching the Chiefs. If you go to Arrowhead and you are watching Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill and Andy Reid on the sidelines, and for me, again, this is like in Los Angeles. I'm not going to see these guys play again in all likelihood. But, man, I hope people have the thought of, wow, I'm watching some of the greatest of all time doing this thing. I'm seeing it with my own eyes. Like, that is something that I will genuinely remember forever. I got a picture of LeBron and Giannis bumping up against each other just right outside the paint. I'm gonna keep that and have that and remember that experience forever, where I got to see one of the two greatest basketball players of all time against a guy that, when it's all said and done, probably is going to end up top 10-ish? Is that reasonable? He just won a title. I don't remember who he beat. No, not important. But, last night, I think Giannis ended up with 44. It was in the 40s. He almost had a triple-double. It was the most casual 40-point performance I have ever seen. I was watching the game. I was trying specifically not to look at the Jumbotron, because that's watching it on TV, basically. I was looking at trying to watch the floor. And every other minute, Giannis would, take one of those giant Greek freaky steps and then lay the ball up, despite the fact that he was 6 feet from the basket whenever he began his layup motion. Unguardable and so fluid and looked so easy. And then we looked at the board in the third or fourth quarter, and we were like, wait a second, he's got 35, and there are 10 minutes left, or whatever it was. I mean, it was maybe even early. I think it was earlier than that. Those moments are so much fun because you are almost caught off guard by greatness. And to the contrary, Giannis made everything look easy last night. LeBron made everything look difficult. And that's not an issue with LeBron. It's, man, that dude plays basketball in a difficult way at this point. There were times where he had dudes hanging off of him, and he was Derrick Henry, except with the basketball skills of LeBron James. I mean, I felt very lucky, honestly, to watch those guys, and then also get a truly borderline elite performance from Russell Westbrook, who I was literally cheering. Obviously, I've always been anti-Lakers. I'm a Suns fan. I wore my Suns shirt into enemy territory, right? And I've recently become less of a fan of the Bucks because of the hurt that they have done to me in the last year. But so I didn't really have a rooting interest. What I knew I was rooting for was for Russell Westbrook to have the ball in his hands. Because, man, if you don't care about the result, it's always incredible. Because it's a missed bunny, or it's him doing something violently and picking up a couple of points. Or it's him throwing the ball away inexplicably. And no matter what it was tremendous. It was a blast. And Anthony Davis also kind of a quiet greatness. Like, oh, yeah, this dude is genuinely like one of the best currently doing it, and he was the third best player on the floor, I guess. I mean, he was great in the game, so that might not be fair, but in terms of how we're going to look back at him, he's playing with LeBron now, and Giannis was on the other team. I mean, what are we doing? It's just I had a great time with that, despite the fact that it wasn't that close of a game until late, and Russell Westbrook was magic, Giannis was magic, LeBron was LeBron. It was a lot of fun. Here's the stereotype, though. That game tipped off, and it was half full. I said that to Jason Anderson, and Jason said, "You're optimistic," and I stopped and thought about it for a second. And, man, I hate it when I have to admit that Jason has a good joke. They come so rarely, so infrequently does Jason Anderson hit a real dinger.
I just got
that one made me laugh. See?
It's pretty good.
It's a slow burn, because I could have said it was half empty, but I'm an optimist, so I said it was half full. Man, I hate giving Jason credit. Good news is there's no way he's listening to this right now in our shared hotel room. Although we definitely went up with some stories from that.
We also have something else in common. We both shared a hotel room with Jason Anderson.
Yeah,
I did in Minneapolis. That was actually how. The nice part is you have known Jason for a while. My first time meeting Jason was in a hotel room in Minneapolis. Like, oh, hey, you must be Jason. Yeah, you must be Rudy. Yep, we're rooming together.
How about this? The first time that I shared a room with Jason was in that aforementioned Tahoe trip.
Oh,
and I did not know him at that point. I
forgot about that.
Vaguely knew him. If you go back mentally in that that timeline, it was. He had not made his return to Kansas City from Louisville very long before that, or he was I'm sorry.
I don't think he had yet. Yeah,
he had it. No, you're right. He was still on in Louisville. He was there with Louisville. That was pre. Yeah, I didn't know him at all.
I believe that that year he came into town for maybe a week because Kentucky was in the Kentucky was playing in the Sweet 16 Elite Eight here in Kansas City.
Yeah.
I believe that was the same year as that. So he came in for the week because. Louisville Station obviously covered Kentucky sports.
Makes sense. So yeah, that was my first. This is not my first time sharing a hotel room with Jason Anderson. Let that sit there for a little bit.
He's a good roommate.
He is a pretty good roommate.
Quiet, clean.
It's nice to know what you value in a person. Also, I could say a lot of good things about Jason that I won't say because again I'm afraid he might be listening. I wouldn't call him quiet.
We both, I found out when I stay, we both sleep with basically headphones in our ears, with our iPad on. I don't know if he still does that, but that was something he did back in Minneapolis.
I'll report back tomorrow.
This was 3-4 years ago.
I'll try to do some investigation and I'll report back tomorrow. But I regardless, the hold on, Crypto.com arena. I miss when it was named after an office supplies company because I'm nostalgic about
I did
Staples.
not know until I never fully processed that it was Staples, the Staples.
That's right.
Until they changed the name from Staples to Crypto. I was like, oh, it was the Staples.
That was a corporate name. It wasn't named after legendary Lakers coach John Staples.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just kind of assumed it was something like that for whatever reason.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because it just became synonymous, and maybe you don't see the logo or whatever.
Yeah,
but it did fill up. It was probably 2/3 full or 1/3 empty for most of the game. But it was sort of funny that oh yeah, they say they say that LA fans are never actually there for the start of things, never actually on time, and that was largely true last night. But I had fun. So. Anything else there you want to really dig down on, Rudy? I don't have a lot that we absolutely must talk about today. There's no big breaking Chiefs news unless I missed something.
No. Unless I missed something, which is more likely than you missing something.
Yeah, fair enough, I guess. Although my Twitter absorption today has not been quite as high as usual because it's been a busy day moving around here. I also should mention this. I told you that Bonnie Jo Laughlin is on with us for a little bit in our one of our conversations later in the show. I mean, she will be. It's crystal ball. But also, she's going to have an extra Radio Row special the hour after AES tonight. So, please do enjoy the next 2.5 hours of this continuing radio program. But don't turn off your dial after that because Bonnie Jill did some really fantastic work today, including hearing from Michael Irvin. She talked to him for quite a while, and I couldn't quite hear it from where I was standing. That's what the microphones are for. You'll be able to hear it. But it looked like they were having a good time. So, they will be having a good time. Damn it! Crystal ball. It's hard to tease things that you know how they're going to go. But again, watched Groundhog Day recently. It's one of those situations. I've actually lived this day. I've actually lived this day a lot of times. This is on repeat. But go ahead.
Oh, just a heads up, Josh. If you ever do, if you're in this situation, you need a way to convince me. Just say you're in a Groundhog Day, and I'll buy in immediately.
You know what? I appreciate that.
I'm in. You don't have to. Very little convincing needs to be done. It's just hey, I'm in a Groundhog Day. Help me. I'll be like, let's do it. What do we need? What you need?
You want to kidnap a groundhog and drive it off a cliff? Let's go now. No questions
I've got
asked.
2 of them in the back.
Whoa, that's exciting. Should put those out on the Facebook Live, Twitch, YouTube streams. put a couple groundhogs in the studio. Just release a couple groundhogs in the studio. Obviously, I'm not in the studio. We have our stream. I haven't actually seen it myself yet, but I imagine that
Pretty sure I'm looking right at you.
All right, excellent. So I do know what it looks like. You can go see that for yourself if you'd like on the video stream. So obviously, I'm.
You look a little sad.
Yeah.
A little somber. Sad's
a little
not
cold,
the right
perhaps?
word. Yeah,
Slightly
maybe.
cold.
Maybe.
But I would say alternatively for tomorrow's show, just release a couple groundhogs in the studio, shut the door, and just zoom out. I mean, don't give them some food and stuff. I'm not give them a nice place to meander about. I just would like for people to get to watch some groundhogs do their thing while we do radio, and I'm in LA. That doesn't sound like too much to ask for.
Not too much.
We need to take a break here. That makes sense. Something that we should probably do. We're within the confines of radio, even though we're not in the confines of space and time. We'll take a break here, though, as I am live from Radio Row for Super Bowl, 56? Livy? Super Bowl. Boy, if this would have been 49ers, they could have called it Super Bowl Levi. That would have been huge for Levi's stadium branding. We're almost here.
Is that the
Should have been
Jeans?
a Chiefs. That's right, yes. The Jeans Company.
Oh, man. Never.
Yeah.
That didn't click either.
Yeah, wait till I tell you about GEHA Field.
Geha?
Yeah, it's not actually a man named Jim Geha. I hate to.
Pretty sure I met Jim Geha.
Yeah, you met Jim Geha. Stupid, dumb joke. The good news is this show only gets better from here. I'm not sure about next segment, but certainly starting at 8 tonight, this show will turn in a much better direction because you're going to hear from Warren Moon. Does that interest you? How about Suzy Shuster? I've already told you, if you don't recognize her name, don't tap out. It's going to be worth it. I'm really excited. How about Kyle Turley, a renaissance man from the NFL to cannabis and everything in between? And then about just a little name you may have heard of at 9 o'clock as Christian Okoye. That one. Not another Christian, not just someone else named Christian Okoye, not a different Nigerian nightmare. The one and only will join us at 9. We'll talk to Bob Golic as a group with a little round table amongst ourselves and amongst others to round out the show in the 9 o'clock hour. So we just have a tremendous amount of stuff for you here on tonight's Almost Entirely Sports. We'll talk about it a little bit more whenever we come back here live from Los Angeles.
Want more Almost Entirely Sports? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 Facebook page.
got this.
You're listening to Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
Do you want to be really proud of our fans real quick?
Hell yeah.
So Ray, I don't think I've seen Ray around before. He asked, anybody on here talk sports? And he says, almost entirely.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Live from LA for Super Bowl 56. Did I say 54 earlier? I've still working my Roman numerals. I think it's 56 correctly. It's LVI, that's 50, 5, and 1. But if the bigger number is before, you just add it. If the smaller number is before, you subtract it. That's 56. I've been spending most of my day here looking across from our table and seeing big blown-up pictures of Matt Stafford and Von Miller and Joe Burrow and Trey Hendrickson. And I just have to think that either these were all made in advance and there's a Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce one somewhere, or maybe even Patrick Mahomes, Chris Jones, perhaps. They went quarterback pass rusher on a couple of them, on both of these here. So I can't help but look across the convention center and get a little sad whenever I see some of this Bengals stuff, just because, like, Rams-Bengals is a really weird Super Bowl matchup.
Mm-hmm.
And Rams-Chiefs, I think, would have felt good. Niners-Bengals would have been worse because that would be Jimmy Garoppolo and Joe Burrow, and that would be even weirder. So I think the route for Matt Stafford to win his big one, I think, is going to be the prevailing thought of the time. But again, we're out here live in LA right now for Radio Row ahead of the Super Bowl. Have a great time. Had a great time today. Have a great show lined up for you as well. But we couldn't do all of this if it wasn't for our wonderful sponsors. So thank you very much to CBD American Shaman. You've heard about CBD American Shaman on the post-game show so many times, but they're a huge part of what we do. You can go into your local shaman store for a free sample of stress-sacking CBD, CBD American Shaman. Everything is better with the feather. Also brought to you by Xfinity. The Xfinity Sports Zone is the ultimate sports hub experience. Follow your favorite teams and players, check live stats and scores of games, and receive real-time notifications. It's the best sports entertainment experience. Brought to you by Twin Peaks. Where will you be on the biggest NFL Sunday? Go to Twin Peaks for the best seats, made from scratch food, 29-degree beer. It's a football fan's paradise. Who you got? Bengals, Rams? Make the call at Twin Peaks. Also brought to you by Buck Roofing for all your residential and commercial roofing needs. And now in Lawrence, it's Buck Roofing, 913-384-2680, or online at ourbuckroofing.com. You can sleep well knowing that Buck Roofing fixed the roof over your head. Also, special thanks to Bushnell. Bushnell thanks Kansas City for being home for more than 30 years and making every Bushnell special. You can go find your next homegrown Bushnell at your local retailer or on bushnell.com. And I saved this one for last because this is, I'm not going to say best for last, right? Our wonderful sponsors here are a gym that deserve to be appreciated. But I will say the one nearest and dearest to my heart is also a gem in a much more literal sense. It's Ruback Fine Jewelry. I am so excited. We've talked about them on the post-game show. You've heard me rant and rave about Ruback a number of times, but it's because they're not just a jewelry company that I have heard of. They are the only jeweler that I have ever used, and as of right now, man, I do not see a future in which I would ever have a need for anyone else. Here's why Ruback has every answer for every question I have asked, and I think they'll have every answer for you. They've been in the community for over 100 years. They provided the finest quality, custom-designed jewelry to this community and to other fine jewelry stores across the country. They're not just a hole-in-the-wall throwing diamonds out from under a rock, rocks from under a rock. No, this is both the finest you will find anywhere in the country and happens to be local to you. That is so important. And for me, this is, of course, where I went to get the ring when it was time for girlfriend Renee to become fiance Renee. And, we're just, like, both of us have found ourselves on a regular basis, multiple times a week, just kind of looking at a ring, just like, oh man, just sort of staring, lost in thought, because it's beautiful. It's also a custom piece. It was completely made with some ideas that I took in, and then Renee went and talked to Hal as well. They were texting for a period of time. She was sending ideas. He was sending back his thoughts. Hal is the person you need to talk to at Ruback. Also, not some like exclusive impossible thing. There aren't 1,000 people around Hal. You can try to get to the big boss man. No, he's the guy that you will talk to if you make an appointment. You can make an appointment at ruback.co, online ruback.co, ruback.co. You can also find him on Instagram. Just look up Ruback. You can see some of the pictures there. You can see some engagement photos from Renee and I. And I'm thrilled. And again, like the custom, this is the phrase that I saw them use at one point that has really stuck with me. You hear custom engagement ring, and you're going to think, like, okay, Mr. Monopoly Man. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean custom engagement ring? Does money grow on trees now suddenly? But here's the thing. Here's the phrase they use that has really stuck with me. A custom ring means a custom budget. You can go earth-grown diamonds, lab-grown diamonds. You can go different sizes and numbers of carats and things that I understand a whole lot better now than I did at that time. I'm certainly not anywhere near Hal's point, so you should go ask him about these things. But what is the ring going to be color-wise? What details do you want to have involved? Any question you could ask, they'll have an answer for. And again, if you go through that custom process, they can customize it to your budget. Hey, I want X, Y, and Z, and I have this much money to put into this ring right now. That's my plan. What do you think? Hal's going to help you figure out, hey, you can do a little more here, do a little less here, do this a little bit differently. Whatever it is that you may have second guesses about if you're at that point in your life, or maybe engagement ring shopping. I hope you can hear it in my voice that I am so grateful to have found Ruback. Shout out to Kent Swanson. And that they were the ones that I ended up actually following up and going to, because having Hal throughout that process as a diamond Sherpa, a jewelry Sherpa, I suppose, was so valuable to me. And I genuinely can't imagine having done that anywhere else. I 1000% believe that if we would have gone anywhere else, we would have an inferior ring, something we're not as happy with, and certainly something that's not as perfectly tailored to what Renee likes. And so I'm over the moon. I think you will be too. It doesn't have to be an engagement ring, by the way. They do all sorts of jewelry, all sorts of rings. If you have something to celebrate in your life, you want to do it with a piece of jewelry, go to Ruback. Just go to ruback.co, call Hal, set up an appointment. Their consultations are by appointment. Just do that. And go. There's nothing you have to decide on day one. I certainly didn't. I ended up there several times to work through that process, and I just think that you'll be very glad you did if you've got something in your life where you think, you know what, this person could use deserves a little jewelry for whatever reason it may be. Ruback will help you get there. I know that's a very long time for me to talk about Ruback in the midst of being at Radio Row. I just love them. I'm so glad that I get to tell you about them as a part of this show, because they mean a lot to me, and I'm really glad that we ended up with the ring that we did and the experience that we did. If you didn't catch that, or if you tuned in, only 8 minutes ago when I started talking about Ruback, I don't know how long it was, but it felt like I was probably a long time, and I just really enjoy talking about them and that experience. We're live here in LA for Radio Row. I am here. Jordan Foote is still seated behind me, even as we're here right now in this portion of the space-time continuum. Radio Row is starting to hit the I don't know, let's say one dork is standing up and doing radio, probably a little bit too loudly disrupting the others around portion of the events. That's been me. Rudy, I got to ask. I should have asked this earlier. Mm-hmm. Does it feel like I've had standing energy this hour? Because I've been on my feet this entire hour, and I feel amazing.
Huh. I honestly just kind of assumed you were like maybe you lying, not like so like lying, like you bunched the chairs together. Or no, even better yet, you got on the desk and your head was like dangling off the side, like upside down. Just like blood rushing to the head.
We're going to play a game. What is my posture as I say a thing, okay?
Upside down.
So hold on. Well, no, I'm okay. I'm in a position. I've chosen a posture. I feel pretty good in this posture.
Jumping
what
jacks.
Do you think it is? What does it sound like?
Jumping jacks.
I was sitting, unfortunately. I was taking a seat there.
Close.
Okay, I'm in another position. I've moved into that position. Here I am. What do I sound like? How do I feel?
Push-ups.
I was standing that time, actually. Hold on.
Closer.
Okay.
Some people think push-ups are just on the ground, standing on the ground.
Okay, I've taken a new posture here for this portion of the show. How do I feel? How do I sound?
Planking.
Close.
Tim Tebow.
Close. I'm laying on the ground staring at the ceiling. Jordan, could you take a picture of this so I could tweet this out at some point, just so people can know what really the the drama of Radio Row, what goes into a show like this? How do I feel audio-wise for you? I feel pretty good. This is great for my back, I think.
I mean, it feels like you're Tebowing. That's the vibe I get.
I would shift into a Tebow, but I think the noises I would make and the sound, the words I would say would be a problem radio-wise if I had to get off the ground while we're still live. So I'm going to do something I've never done before. Live from Radio Row in Los Angeles and on the ground. It's Almost Entirely Sports. More whenever we come back.
Did you know you can listen to Almost Entirely Sports anywhere, anytime? Well, you can. Just search for Almost Entirely Sports wherever you... You're listening to Almost Entirely Sports.
Dr. Professor, I'll ask you the same question. Loyola Chicago versus Michigan. What are you seeing?
I'm going to say Loyola.
Yep, that was right. That was exactly right. You nailed it. First try.
Yes, because of their defensive tight end.
With Joshua Brisco.
I'm starting to think that Dr. Professor might be a one-sport pony.
Just a really good tight end over there.
A few moments later.
Tight end is a football term, isn't it?
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, you can see the photo from last segment. That wasn't, I mean, it was a bit, but it wasn't a lying bit. I mean, well, it was a lying bit, but not in the falsehood sense. Jordan has tweeted that out at Footnoted. I've retweeted it. Stupid pun that I've tweeted. It's not going to make sense if I say it, so you can go read it on Twitter if you'd like. We are live from L.A. here for Radio Row. I've retaken my standing posture. I'm no longer laying on the ground, nor am I going to do push-ups to try to wind this one out. I'm good, actually. Jordan's just tweeting out memes of me now that he's made, so that's challenging. This is going to be a big day for my I don't know, social presence, but in the way that is not about your following. It's more about how other people will save and use JPEGs of you.
Jordan's not an ally for you today. Or tonight at the very least.
No. Jordan has turned onto the offensive. And
Some
he is
people
now
wake up
actively
in the
against-
morning and choose chaos.
Yeah. I think it was chosen for us by being in LA for Radio Row. There's
True.
no. It's been a fun time. I've enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to the next couple days out here as well. But there is not a chaos-free option. You can't go. You go to In-N-Out, I guess. I haven't been yet. I am going to try to do that before we leave here. I have not been to In-N-Out ever, so I'm really keeping my eyes open for that one. But you can go to a grocery store. You can go to a grocery store. You can go to a drive-thru. You can go get food. You can try to get things somewhere with or without additions. You could order your burger with no lettuce. You can't order Radio Row with no chaos. And also, tonight here on Almost Entirely Sports, you can't order this episode of AES without any Warren Moon, because he's next. Without Suzy Shuster, because she's after that. Without Kyle Turley, because he's after that. Or without a little extra side of Christian Okoye, who we'll talk to at 9. We'll round it out with Bob Golic and friends, a little round table that we'll have towards the end of the show. But how's that for your 8 and 9 o'clock hour? Not enough sports for you? Almost entirely, perhaps? I'm really excited about the next 2 hours of AES as we are live from Los Angeles. We'll begin our run of guests with Warren Moon next here on Sports Radio 810, live from LA.
You're listening to Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
With PatriotSoftware.com. on ESPN. Actually, now third quarter on ESPN and the ESPN app. Just getting underway with the Bulls up 15 on Charlotte, 60-47 now as I talk about that one. Game 2 is going to be at 10 p.m. Eastern. Utah hosting Golden State, and NBA first, an all-women's crew that will be running that broadcast. The Lakers have a game tonight at Portland. L.A. struggling, 3 games under 500 this season. The Russell Westbrook edition has not yet helped, and some suggest that it hurts this club. Can they make a move by tomorrow's deadline? Sure. Will it help? ESPN NBA insider Adrian Wojnarowski is not sure.
I think just the way their roster is set up and structured, and the money that is invested in Russell Westbrook, and really the very limited scope you have, very limited, of being able to move him, it makes it unlikely, I think, Greeny, that they can do something of that really could dramatically impact this team.
Yeah, it's Adrian Wojnarowski on Greeny earlier here on ESPN Radio. Top 25 college basketball, a good one winding up down in Fort Worth. SMU now up 81-77 on number 6, Houston, and 16th ranked Ohio State going to overtime, tied with Rutgers at 66, and number 25 Xavier trailing by 5, under 4 to go at Seton Hall.
Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max.
Matthew Stafford is the reason that they're in the Super Bowl. If there was a playoff MVP, he would be that guy.
More from the guys Thursday morning starting at 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPN2.
You're listening to Almost Entirely Sports.
This game is so violent that the congratulatory butt smacks are aggressive.
With Joshua Brisco.
Put me straight to the injured reserve with a bruised butt cheek.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Continuing to broadcast from Radio Row here in beautiful Los Angeles, the city of Angles, I think they call it. It's Almost Entirely Sports. Joshua Brisco here, joined by the slightly more famous, slightly more accomplished, slightly more Hall of Famey Warren Moon with us here on Almost Entirely Sports. Warren, thank you for making the time for us.
Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. You know, I'm always available for Kansas City.
Look, don't say that to my face, because I'll hand you a card later. I'll start talking to you guys around here, and then you're going to get sick of me. But yeah, I'm thrilled to get to talk to you a little bit. Get to talk to you about what you're doing right now as you enter the NFT space, which is kind of a fun, exciting new world. And also, we've got a ton of football things, Kansas City-wise, with the Super Bowl right now. So we could probably just spin a wheel and start anywhere. But let's start with what you're doing here with the new NFT collection. You've got the vintage poster shot that if people see this, they will immediately go either I had one of those or I know someone who did.
Right.
Because these are incredible. And now they're entering the NFT space again as a part of the Costacos collection, CostacosCollection.com, at Costacos Collect across social media. Tell me a little bit about what you're doing here.
Yeah, the Costacos brothers were a poster that was made during the day of different athletes in the NFL, and if you were on one of those posters, you felt like you were on the cover of Madden or something like that. And then young kids and people that were fans of the game wanted to have one of these to put up on their wall. So now what they've done through NFTs, the way things have developed because of technology, now they've made these into digital pieces, and they're digital art, and something I think they're going to be very valuable, because now you don't just put them on your wall like a poster, but you can carry them around with you on your phone. You can carry them around on your tablet, on your computer, and show people something that you own. So it's something I'm very excited about, because I have a history with the Costacos brothers, and I know the time and energy and work that they put into these pieces, and they also give us some freedom to lend our expertise to them as well. So I love the whole project, and a large part of this is going to go to my charity too, Brothers in Arms. So that's something I'm really excited about, raising some money for the charity.
Well, tell me about what the charity does, why that's important to you.
Well, we formed it about 2 years ago. Myself, Andre Ware, who won the Heisman Trophy, he's from Houston. Vince Young, who went to the University of Texas, and we all know all the things he did, and he's part of the College Football Hall of Fame, first-round draft pick. Well, we all have a association with the city of Houston, whether it's played there, grew up there, or still lives there. And all three of us come from single-family mom homes, believe it or not. So the scholarships that we give out through our Brothers in Arms Foundation is for kids that come from a single mom home that are involved in sports, have really good grades, but just need some financial assistance.
Yeah.
And we've given out 12 scholarships now over the last 2 years, and we want to continue that program. So we're raising as much money as we possibly can to keep giving those scholarships out.
That's amazing. It sounds like a fantastic opportunity there. And where can people get your the specifics on your foundation if they want to help out or check that out?
They can go to brothersinarmshouston.com.
Okay.
And all the information will be there for them to find out about what we're doing with the program and the type of events we have coming up.
Well, so I got to follow up on a few of those guys that you just mentioned there, and yourself being here now as well. We've talked a lot. I mean, you have Eric Bieniemy, who continues to be an offensive coordinator, which is great news for the Chiefs. Yeah. Seems like bad news for the rest of the NFL. You have everything that's been happening with Brian Flores and the coaching hiring cycles that's been going on. And, I mean, it seems like a lot of those things you could probably trace back to how difficult it was to be a black quarterback in the NFL for a long period of time. If I explained that to you, I would escort myself out of here. I've got an expert on that. But, I mean, do you think there is a connection point to that? Or how do you view where the NFL is at right now in terms of some of the diversity issues they have amongst coaching?
Yeah, I think we're further behind than the black quarterback title back in the days where if you had success at a position, you would think because you had success there, that would create a little bit more change. That would create more opportunities. So when I was going to Pro Bowl after Pro Bowl, when Randall Cunningham was doing what he was doing, when Doug Williams wins a Super Bowl at the highest level and is MVP, it shows that African Americans could play that position at a high level. Now you started to see a bunch more African Americans get drafted higher in the draft, get more opportunities to play the position, and they're all flourishing. Well, the same thing happened with coaching. You had Tony Dungy wins a Super Bowl. You had Lovie Smith goes to a Super Bowl. You had Mike Tomlin wins a Super Bowl. All African-American coaches, others that have gone to Super Bowls. You would think the same thing would happen with the coaching. There'd be more opportunities for African-American coaches, but it just hasn't happened that way. And it's something that the owners are going to have to look at themselves and say, we've got to do a better job of what we're doing, because Roger Goodell can only do so much. He works for the owners, and he can only suggest that we need to do a better job in this area, but they still got to make those decisions. And there's qualified guys out there, but they're not getting the opportunities that they deserve, and it's really disgraceful, and they need to do something about it. They really do.
You beat me 3 steps ahead, which again makes sense, on how much the NFL can do. And again, Roger Goodell can say all the things he wants to say. They can have a Rooney Rule. They can have the draft pick incentives now, which help try to incentivize development within teams. But if you don't have owners making the hires that seem like they're the most qualified candidates in a position to do that, we're back here. I guess not quite square one, but it kind of feels like that.
It really does. It feels like we've gone backwards since the Rooney Rule started, and that's unfortunate, because we've had as many as 8 African-American head coaches at one time, or minorities, and now I think we have 3 now, or 4, or something like that. So we've gone backwards, and something's got to be done to make more progress in that area, because that's something that Roger Goodell talked about many years ago when this whole Rooney Rule was established, and I'm sure that's something he wants to be part of his legacy when he leaves, before he leaves as commissioner, to have done a better job in diversity and a better job in African-American coaches and also general managers in higher offices. So he's done a great job in diversity, but we still have to do a better job with the coaching.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting, especially at the idea of that being something that Roger Goodell would like to have attached to his name before he steps away. That's super interesting. Well, I guess I'll ask you about a couple football things as well. Since I've got you here, I might as well. Talking about some of the great young quarterbacks in this league of all sorts and different styles, and now here you get Joe Burrow, who, again, I'm a little annoyed with personally, but that's more of some, this season Chiefs-related issues that I have. You have Matthew Stafford, who is, an excellent quarterback in Detroit, but can never really get over that hump. Probably not really his fault, and that organization has had its troubles. You get those two guys quarterbacking these two teams. They're different. They have some similarities. They're in these different markets now. Whenever you look at the stories of these two quarterbacks and who they have been over the course of their careers, one much longer than the other, what do you see from those two guys?
Well, I see exactly what you said about Matthew Stafford. He was in Detroit, wasn't a very good organization, wasn't a very good team for a long time, and he was a guy that threw for a lot of numbers, Had a lot of come-from-behind wins because he basically was always behind in football games. So in order for him to win a game, he had to bring his team from behind. Right. But he hung in there. You know, he never complained. He was tough as nails. He played hurt. I remember one game, I think he separated his shoulder and stayed in there and threw a touchdown pass. So, you know, he's a guy that deserves what he's getting right now because they finally got him out of that bad situation, got him into a better situation, and he's shown what he can do in a better situation.
Yeah.
He's got his team all the way to the Super Bowl. Joe Burrow, complete toughness that he's shown this past year, coming off of an ACL injury in his first year as a rookie.
Yeah.
He's been sacked the most of any quarterback the last 2 years, so he's taken a beating at the same time. But somehow, some way, he has a lot of poise. He has a lot of character. He has a lot of toughness to where he doesn't ever feel like he's behind in a football game, and he can always bring his team back. And I think his team feeds off that because they're a young group, and they've had success doing that, and now they just feel like they can win any football game they play. And that's a great feeling for any football team to have because mentally that's the most important part of the game at this stage of the season is who's the mentally tougher team. Because everybody's talented when you get in the playoffs.
Well, I'm so glad that you brought up the mental side because also one of the games they just won that they shouldn't have, you know, quote unquote, is in the AFC Championship game. Patrick Mahomes has seemed mentally as sharp as you can be over the course of his career. And I'm also not predicting that, you know, he's never going to be good at football again. But we got 30 minutes of him not seeming comfortable out there. If it was seeing pressure that wasn't actually coming or not seeing receivers that were opening up, whenever you see a performance like that from a guy who is clearly among the best of the best as still a very young player,
right.
What did you see as that second half was unfolding?
Well, I saw adjustments made by Cincinnati, and those adjustments worked very well because it forced Patrick to be even more patient than he had to be the last half of the season. You remember the whole thing early in the year that he was forcing the football because teams were playing in very soft zones, but he adjusted to that over the course of the year and really finished the season strong. Well, Cincinnati even took it to another level and were rushing less people, were dropping more people into coverage and made him have to be even more patient than he was being asked to be that last half of the season, and he didn't do a good job of it in the second half. He wasn't taking what the defense was giving him, whether it was just a dump off or whatever, or he wasn't running the football like he was in the first half and just taking some runs and putting more pressure on the defense that way. And it's unfortunate because they did not look like the same football team in the second half, and they allowed Cincinnati to get back into the football game, especially with a couple of key turnovers. I could talk your ear off here or just listen to you talk about all sorts of things for the next half hour, and I think some of your guys around here would eventually get mad at me. So I'll get you out of here in a few quick rapid-fire questions. The show is called Almost Entirely Sports. We've talked the sports. Some almost entirely questions for you here. You can have dinner with any two people in history, living or dead, but you have to answer right now. Who are your two people? Muhammad Ali and Martin Luther King. A couple of really good answers. Right now, what is the sports debate topic that you're most tired of hearing about? African-American coaches in football. Sorry. So I wish I would have asked that one first. Damn. What is your favorite hobby that has nothing to do with sports or NFTs? Cooking. What do you cook? Everything. Oh yeah, all right. I love the kitchen. Can't you look at me? I should have started. I really should have started the segment. I used to have a chocolate chip cookie business. So. Oh wow. Okay. I was a big baker when I was younger. Can we get that back in the mix a little bit? Maybe that's NFTs now. Fungible cookies coming later. Internet cookies are a thing, I guess, right? Well, we want cookies that taste good. Not digital cookies. No digital cookies. And last one, best movie you've seen in the last year. Best movie I've seen in the last year. Golly, I haven't been to many movies. It can be at home. It can be. It doesn't have to have come out in the last year. Just something you've seen recently that you know what people should watch this. Spider-Man. It was very good. I've enjoyed all the Spider-Man. I went to see that with my son and was pleasantly surprised. They hold up. They're pretty good. Yeah. Warren Moon, thank you very much for your time here. Again, if you want to get involved in the NFT collection, CostacosCollection.com. COSTACOS. It's Coast Tacos. Okay, you can spell it out phonetically. There you go. CoastTacosCollection.com. Food, man, food. It all comes back to food. Comes back to food. And you can also go check out the foundation as well, brothersinarmshouston.com. Warren Moon, thank you very much. Thank you, sir. The great, the Hall of Famer, Warren Moon, here with us on Almost Entirely Sports. Just a fantastic time with one of the league's best and also one of the league's all-time
great interviews, apparently. I really enjoyed that. And the reason that we're out here at Radio Row, the reason we can be out here, the reason that you can hear us here from Los Angeles is in part thanks to all of our wonderful sponsors who have been a part of this whole process. CBD American Shaman, they're a beloved one. You know CBD American Shaman. Go into your local shaman store for a free sample of stress sacking CBD. CBD American Shaman. Everything is better with the feather. Also brought to you by Xfinity. The Xfinity Sports Zone is the ultimate sports hub experience. Follow your favorite teams, players, check live stats and scores of games, and receive real-time notifications to the best sports entertainment experience with Xfinity. Also brought to you by Twin Peaks. Brought to you by Buck Roofing for all your residential and commercial roofing needs. And now in Lawrence, it's Buck Roofing, 913-384-2680, or online at buckroofing.com. Sleep well knowing Buck Roofing fixed the roof over your head. Special thanks to Bushnell as well. Bushnell thanks Kansas City for being home for more than 30 years and making every Bushnell special. Come find your next homegrown Bushnell at your local retailer at bushnell.com. And, of course, thanks to our friends over at Ruback Fine Jewelry. When I was finally ready to go find an engagement ring, I wanted it to be something that I loved. I wanted it to be something unique. I wanted it to be something that was within my budget. And Ruback was the place to go for all of those things. We have a beautiful ring that Renee loves, that I love, and that, again, fits the budget because they make custom pieces. Go talk to Hal at Ruback. I promise you, you will not regret this. Go talk to Hal at Ruback and let him answer your questions. Ask him questions. Ask the questions to an expert that's been doing this for a great, incredibly long time, a guy that has connections all over this this engagement ring, this diamond, this jewelry industry, and Ruback has been serving the community for over 100 years here in the Kansas City area. I can't recommend them highly enough. You've heard me talk about them on this show well before they were a sponsor. I couldn't help but talk about the experience that I had there, and I'm really glad to have them on board now. Again, custom ring means a custom budget. If you're looking for a Valentine's Day present, don't wait around any longer. Get out to Ruback, or if you want to plan your own engagement, congratulations in advance, and you can make sure that it goes well if you go to Ruback Fine Jewelry and let them answer all the questions that you'll have throughout that process. I was clueless, and I left feeling like I knew a lot more and that I was incredibly happy with the results. So shout out to Ruback every single day here as well. They've really added a genuine, physical, incredible thing to our lives on a daily basis. So I'm really appreciative of Ruback. We'll take a break here on Almost Entirely Sports, broadcasting live from Radio Row in beautiful, slightly chilly Los Angeles. We'll have more from Radio Row whenever we come back.
Take the show with you wherever you go. Listen live on the... This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
I was going to say, like, how great would it be to be as bad as Bill O'Brien is at his job and continue to have your job? But I knew as soon as I said that, one of you would just ask me what that feels like. And so I just figured
You're learning.
I just figured I would rather make the joke for myself.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Almost Entirely Sports, continuing in Radio Row in Los Angeles here ahead of a Super Bowl matchup that makes me a little sad still every time I look up and see Bengal stuff on the walls because, I think it should be a slightly darker shade on those helmets and jerseys on the AFC side. But we'll talk about that and a lot more right now with Suzy Shuster. She's been a producer and reporter for just about every network you could possibly think of. And you can check out the Just Getting Started podcast with Rich Eisen. Suzy, I got to be honest, I was finding out all of the things that, you have done throughout your career. And then I found out that your husband is also in media.
So you're kind of laughing. You're like, why do I have her on, and why are we possibly promoting something that I don't know about? And I'm going to tell you exactly why. So I have an Emmy. My husband doesn't. His name is Rich Eisen. He does a little daily talk show. It's a cute little show called The Rich Eisen Show. He's the host of a sweet little network called NFL Network. It's great. It's fine. But, one of us has an Emmy and one of us doesn't. But that's really neither here nor there.
I think it's very much here.
It's really windy there, right? Don't you think? Aren't you surprised? Everyone comes to Southern California. They all wear shorts. We laugh at all the out-of-towners because they're wearing shorts. It's February. It's freezing here. We're dying. It's cold. It's windy. People are going to the beach. We think they're insane. Yeah, I get it. People will show up at the Super Bowl. I will come with a winter coat on because I'll be so afraid of it going below 60 degrees.
I will not make this short-sleeve, jacketless mistake again tomorrow. This is going to be a one-time error, which I didn't think was going to be a problem here.
Yeah, no, people are always amazed, and then when you're here for a week, and then you go home, and you're like, oh, my blood got there, and they think you're like a bunch of pussies. But the truth of the matter is, give it a week, you may never go home again. And by the way, when I look at the colors for the Super Bowl, I'm remotely devastated because, I'm a Patriots fan. My husband is, of course, a Jets fan because he's not that smart. And I'm a Patriots fan because I'm from New England. We have 3 kids who are not allowed to even know JETS. I mean, it's embarrassing. To be a Jets fan is embarrassing. I'm a front runner and also, like I said, a lifelong born and bred New Englander. So my kids grew up used to winning. And this has been our crazy year because what were we going to do? We knew that we were going nowhere. We knew that we were going to go out in the playoffs. So then what do? Do we then pivot and just jump on the Brady bandwagon? The answer, of course, was yes. So I was slightly devastated that Tom left and departed the National Football League the way he did. But I am so happy for Matthew Stafford because I love this story. It's my favorite story of the year to see a guy play as hard as he did in Detroit and have a faithful group like Detroit go and root for him as he comes to the Rams and to support him. How many teams, how many followings actually support a quarterback when he switches to another team and takes that team to the Super Bowl? Very few. And that shows the kind of character that Matthew Stafford has.
I want to talk about everything that you just said, but I have to pick one thing. Let's go Brady first. You've got the lifelong connection to what he has done for this franchise. He and Bill Belichick built a dynasty, something we've never seen before, and I'm becoming more concerned that we might not see it again, although I'm holding out a little bit of hope on my side, right? So you go through that experience. He goes to Tampa Bay. He wins the Super Bowl over the Chiefs. Once again, a lot of pain for us in Kansas City talking about Tom Brady. But whenever the report started coming out that he was retiring, I got a little sad, and I don't know what happened there. I imagine for you there had to be a lot of mixed emotions.
Of course you felt sad because he's the greatest, and I think what makes Tom Brady so interesting, you look at the genius quarterback that you have, like you guys are looking great for a long time to come. But those of us who remember that first time that Tom Brady won the Super Bowl in his second season, we kind of like to look at that now, of course, as we look across at the Bengals this year. With Burrow, who could possibly win a Super Bowl in his second season. Don't you remember, won't you always remember the shot of Brady with his hands on his head thinking, I can't believe I'm here? And then you look all these years later, here's a guy who, okay, watch out Indianapolis. They're going to say, Deflategate, I hear you right now. But Tom Brady doesn't get in trouble. Tom Brady doesn't call people names. Tom Brady always does the right thing, and I'm sorry he does because he's Tom Brady. But the fact of the matter is I think that there are few athletes in modern history that you can look at that were such great role models. He's a great dad. He's a great teammate. The fact that Gronk would want to follow him from place to place. I mean, Gronk's not an idiot. He got $1 million for waking up last week. But the fact of the matter is, I think that Tom Brady is one of those once-in-a-lifetime treasures that everybody can love. Now, I know about 5 or 6 people who are like, Suzy, you're an idiot. I can't stand him. But that said, I think he's one of the most universally liked quarterbacks. I just love the intrigue now of wondering, he didn't exactly say he wouldn't come back. And now everyone's like doctoring up their quarterback jerseys and saying, what if Tom Brady comes back as a 49er? What if he replaces Jimmy G? And wouldn't that be rich? And then somebody else said, which I thought was really funny, like, he's been home for a week and he already wants to go back to work because his wife is driving him crazy. And which is, the perfect thing, like, you can be Giselle Bundchen and be the most beautiful woman in the world, and still you're like, hey, honey, I got to go out and get some milk. And then suddenly 9 months later, after another season, he comes home.
I saw you tweeted out that somebody said something about how now Tom Brady is also the Tom Brady of parenting. That's disappointing. And then he responded by saying he's like a JV backup right now of parenting. So maybe that, that doesn't sound easy either. So I'm guessing that there's a lot going on at home. All of a sudden, you're not dreading the idea of training camp quite so much because it's February and you're tired of being home already.
Yeah,
I understand that.
That's like when Rich was on the road all the time. I used to travel for ABC Sports. I did football for years for them, so I was always gone. But then once we had kids, we had a little bit of a swapola. And whenever Rich would be on the road for a long time, he'd come home and he'd start trying to, help the kids or tell them what to do. I'm like, no, that's not how it works here. So like Thursday Night Football, hello. And, it's so I can imagine if only I could do a Brazilian accent, I would be like, no, I can't even think about what it is. Like, Tom, don't make that smoothie that way. That's not how I put in the organic wimp or whatever the hell she puts in her stuff. So, I mean, you have to think that he's going back there and thinking to himself, oh, God, if I don't leave this house, I will only be eating, green grass and blueberries for the rest of my life, and maybe it's time to go back.
I just had to try to get as quiet as possible because I could feel that you were going to go for it. I could feel that you were stalling and you were going to try a Brazilian accent, and I'm so thankful that you did. You've graced our airwaves with that. I'm so happy right now.
Kansas City is like, who is this maniac? Right,
Yeah, but they've been saying that during this time slot now for several years, and it's nice that it's your voice and not mine anymore that's driving people off of the road into a ditch. The one other thing that I wanted to talk to you about, again, like, genuinely having done so many things in so many places over the sports media landscape, I find myself out of a place like Radio Row like this, talking to other radio folks, right? And the conversations end up being about the industry or about what's working and what isn't or what's interesting and what's not. And I'm just curious what you think about how this whole space has evolved. And I'm looking around here again now. 2 or 3 years ago, there were not half as many digital outlets out around here. You're talking about the podcast network just getting started next season, just around the corner, folks. You see this space evolve, and you think what about the direction that we've kind of headed in?
Well, the reason why I like Just Getting Started, the podcast, is because I started out in this business in 1994 coming out of college, and I look at how people can get into it now. How all it takes is what even Mina Kimes started on a Tumblr. I mean, all it takes is getting an iPhone and a decent light and having something interesting to say. And that's what I love about what's happening in this industry right now is, number one, we're hearing fresh new voices that aren't having to come up the same way that we did. So maybe they have a different perspective. The downside, of course, is that we're hearing fresh new voices who didn't come up the way that we did, which is that, I made my way up as a producer. I started at ESPN and went to Real Sports with Brian Gumbel, and then got my first on-air job at Fox Sports, covering the Lakers during the Shaq and Kobe years. So I learned how to do every single job before I ever got to go on TV. Now anybody can hop in front of a camera and have a take. So it's what separates the people who are really amazing, like the Mina Kimes, from the rest of the people who oftentimes can just be background noise. If you have the discipline to really love what you're doing in the sports world, and you have a fresh take, you can get noticed, because all it takes is one great take and you go viral, and suddenly you have a whole new career. The one thing that I think is missing is the ability to write, and that's what separates the truly great from the rest of them. Rich has an 8.5-hour show on Sunday on NFL Network. He writes every word he says. And wow. I knew from when I was at Fox Sports, when I was at Fox Sports Net, I had, shall we say, some Playboy Playmates anchor mates, so to speak, who would read. They would read like Ron Burgundy. I can't read what somebody else writes, so I can't read prompter unless I read it myself. And I think when you know how to write, then you go a lot further in this business.
You mentioned the value of having a fresh take and the way that people can get into this space now. There's one person that did it a long time ago that I found a connection between you and him. I found a picture of you and a bunch of others around John Madden, where apparently there was a Madden cruiser borrowing and a trip through New York. I was wondering if you would share that story with us.
Oh, I'd love to. So I was so lucky. My internship in college was with CBS Sports. And I was so lucky. I went to school in New York City. And the guy I worked for said, if you can pay for your way to get down to Charlotte for the Final Four, you can be an intern. And I got there, and Leslie Visser took me under her wing. Leslie Visser, for any of you who are listening, is the most important woman in the history of sports broadcasting. She's in the NFL Hall of Fame. And on this Monday, she was invited by the Madden family to be one of the speakers at his memorial, which is truly incredible and humbling for her. But Leslie is the most inclusive person that there is on the planet. And she used to borrow the Madden Cruiser every year. We'd meet at John's house at 72nd and Central Park West, which is the Dakota, which is the most famous building in New York City, where John Lennon used to live as well. And we would borrow the Madden Cruiser and go bar hopping. It was the coolest thing ever. And
Amazing.
So that picture has just resurfaced. I look like like a fresh-faced 22-year-old because I was. And, I always think good thing I wasn't trying to get a job on the air back then. But it was just the most exciting night ever, and to spend time with John. And he was very shy in person and kind with his time and with his Madden Cruiser. But he did that because he loved Leslie so much.
Well, Suzy, I really appreciate the time you took for us here today. If you can get this rich guy on air, that's fine. But next time you need to promote anything else, I don't want to talk to him. I want to talk to you again. And if people want to hear more of the new season of the podcast, Just Getting Started, is just around the corner. You can check that out wherever you get your podcasts. I presume. Anything else people need to know, Suzy, before we let you go?
Yeah, the Cumulus podcast, and wherever you take in those podcasts, is called Just Getting Started. Jeffrey Ross, the comedian, is my first guest.
Ooh.
And we just finished taping 5 seconds ago. He is hysterical and kind. He goes really deep and dark, too. And it's just a really inspirational way for people to figure out if they are wondering how to get a push out the door. We go really deep into that. Michael Irvin will be coming on. Marshall Falk will be coming on. Paul Rudd will be coming on. And I have about 5 or 6 other people working on some of the Ted Lasso crew. We're trying to decide which of them. And along with Leslie and a bunch of other women, friends of mine who I've made as I've come up the way through the sportscasting world. Shaquille O'Neal will be coming on. I always like to hit up all of my old pals.
It sounds like a pretty good guest list. Jeffrey Ross had me, though. I hit subscribe in my app when you said episode 1 is with Jeffrey Ross, and I can't wait to see how that goes. Suzy Shuster, thank you very much for making the time. Check out Just Getting Started, wherever you get your podcast. New season just around the corner. Really appreciate your time here, and I hope that the whiplash from talking to Jeffrey Ross 5 seconds ago to talking to us here tonight wasn't anything too aggressive for you.
It was. I've done worse. It was the greatest, and I'm happy to be with you. You take care and put on a sweater.
I will. Suzy Shuster, thank you very much. Rudy, if you can just go ahead and cut up now the idea that this show could have been worse, that she has done worse interviews than this one, that's going straight to my resume.
Want more Almost Entirely Sports? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 Facebook page.
For 11 years, Breaking the Norm has presented the best and most uplifting stories in sports, entertainment, and business, and we wouldn't be here without our amazing partners and you, our faithful listeners. Your stories of life change, loving others, and inspiration keep us dedicated to making a difference in the world, one story at a time. Tune in Tuesdays at 4 p.m. on ESPN Kansas City 94.5 FM and Saturday mornings at 7 on Sports Radio 810 WHB for something good, something positive, and something real on Breaking the Norm.
Hi there, Gary Giles with Giles & Jewelry. Everybody knows Giles & Jewelry is the place to buy an engagement ring. Thousands of diamond rings, quality second to nobody. Come on into Giles, 95th and Antioch, right in front of the big high B. Giles & Jewelry, we're the jewelers you'll recommend to your friends and family.
the best that's yet to come.
Hey, Jim! Thanks for coming.
Are you kidding? I never miss one of your dinner parties. How's the new job?
We're growing fast, and I stopped working weekends, thanks to how much smoother everything runs on NetSuite by Oracle.
Fantastic. We're still using QuickBooks.
Why haven't you upgraded to NetSuite?
We're making QuickBooks work, sort of.
Shh, watch your language. The kids are right there. Sorry, Amy. NetSuite gives you visibility and control of your financials, inventory, HR, planning, budgeting, and more. NetSuite is everything you need to grow, all in one place. And 93% of surveyed businesses increase their visibility and control since upgrading from QuickBooks to NetSuite.
Yeah, sounds like it's time for me to switch to NetSuite. Over 27,000 businesses already use NetSuite. For the new year, NetSuite has a new financing program for those ready to upgrade at netsuite.com/radar. Head to netsuite.com/radar for this special one-of-a-kind financing offer on the #1 financial system for growing businesses. netsuite.com/radar.
Building a pool is not a job for amateurs. If you want a pool you'll enjoy for a lifetime, call the pros at Pro-Built Pool and Patio. Pro-Built Pool and Patio is the largest provider of fiberglass pools in the region. Unlike liners, fiberglass pools from Imagine Pools and Pentair Pool Equipment are built to last, and they have over 200 different design options to fit your space. Pro-Built Pool and Patio offers competitive pricing, financing, and the fastest install timelines. Get a free quote by calling 816-786-3893 or go to ProBuiltPatio.com.
Stephen St. John from Window Nation. Do you know why I'm glad home shows are at this time of year? Because brutally cold weather really shows you where your home needs improvement, especially your windows. Do they feel cold? Are they steamy or frosted? Can you feel a draft? You need to call Window Nation, the experts of window replacements. And now is the best time because Window Nation's virtual home show extravaganza brings the limited time savings right to you. Call today and get 2 free windows with every 2 you buy with no limit. Plus, make no down payment, no payments, and pay no interest for 24 months. Window Nation, 866-90Nation, or go online to windownation.com/home show. Window Nation will come to you with beautiful ways to improve your home and save you thousands of dollars. With natural gas prices skyrocketing, now is the time to call. Buy 2, get 2 free with no limit and pay nothing for 2 full years. Call 866-90Nation or visit windownation.com/home show and tell them Stephen St. John sent you.
ICON is seeking healthy, non-smoking men and women ages 18 to 55 to participate in a clinical research study at our facility in Lenexa, Kansas. Volunteers must be available for 1 stay of 15 nights, 16 days, 1 follow-up visit, and 1 phone call. Additional eligibility criteria applies. Qualified participants may receive compensation of $7,750 for time and travel. Call ICON today at 913-210-5900. That's 913-210-5900.
This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
I haven't even thought about the Titans. Which, by the way, don't bother. The Chiefs are going to beat them by 30 points. Oh, God, I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. I just remembered the last 3 years. They all just came back in a dream state. No, sorry, they're going to lose 15-12. Or win by 30. All right, I don't know, win by 15. Or lose by 20. No, they're going to lose 15-12. They're going to win by 30 points. I am not afraid of you, Marcus Mariota. Mark that for, next Monday. Whoever Marcus Mariota is a Hall of Famer. And somehow, with a terrible errant pass, he hits Patrick Mahomes in the head with a football from 60 yards away. And Mahomes' career is ended just
on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Almost Entirely Sports, still here at Radio Row in Los Angeles, and plenty of things, both sports and almost entirely, that we'll talk about right now with our guest Kyle Turley. Spent a long time in the NFL, ended the time in Kansas City. I've noticed, though, Kyle, you've got the Rams hat here today. St. Louis to L.A. did not throw you off the bandwagon.
No, I was hoping for the old school Governor's Cup Super Bowl, man. That would have been awesome. Rams with Chiefs. I could have wore a double backed hat. You
Oh
know?
yeah,
it would have been perfect.
It's been fantastic.
Yeah.
I would have preferred that also, if I'm being honest. It would have been more fun for us here as well.
Yeah.
But you've been doing a lot of stuff in your post football playing days. A lot that I know a lot of people have heard about, and that's continuing now with what you're here to talk to us about today. Kind of a winding road here, but I mean, you've spent this time after your career talking about the pain of the game, the toll that it took physically, mentally, and also I guess sort of both with brain issues that are a combination of that, and the opioids that are handed out, how that affected you, what you've done with your life since sort of shifting over to cannabis to deal with a lot of those things. If you could give us a little walk through what your story is for people who may not have heard it.
Yeah, I don't know who hasn't heard it. I'm pretty open about it.
Right.
So just continuing to spread that message. At the end of the day, cannabis saved my life. It's undeniable. It still continues to do so every day. Dealing with these injuries that the game of football causes is real, and these are things, though, that happen to everybody in the world, sometimes, because you fall and you get hurt, or, you play a sport, even if it's just a pickup game, you're pulling your hamstrings. These things transcend our, communities across the world. And unfortunately, what's being kept from us is the number one regulatory system in the human body when it comes to human health, the endogenous cannabinoid system. They don't want you to know that not only are you made up of a lot of this thing called water, but you're made up of a lot of this thing called cannabinoids.
Yeah.
They don't want you to know about it. And fortunately, I had the opportunity to figure that out, and being here in California. And I've now gone back to Tennessee. I'm living as a criminal again, but, they can come lock me up, man. I don't care. At the end of the day, this has got everything back in my life that was valuable, and I think that's a positive thing.
I mean, in all of those issues, again, it feels like it's at least been talked about a little bit more at this point where we're at today than it was as you were exiting your NFL career. But how much progress do you think has been made in that department, both in how we're talking about CTE and the things that can come with that, and also how we're talking about cannabis as a country even?
Sure, yeah. I mean, it's changed night and day, obviously, from where it was, but it's got a long way to go. It's still in Kansas. It's ridiculous.
Missouri side, we're a little cooler.
Yeah, it's like you in Nebraska. It's like, what the heck? It's like unbelievable the things that these politicians are saying. It's like, do you realize how stupid you sound?
Yeah.
Please, we don't want. We're tired of this situation. It's annoying where these people say the dumbest things that create confrontation and conflict. When there's a true science to this. We need the medical community to start standing up. I wish that happened in Kansas City when I was there my last 2 years.
Yeah.
I mean, from my injuries to all the other guys on the field. Watching Trent Green blow snot bubbles out his nose and be in that situation that cost him his job. Now knowing that there's a resolution for that, this is important stuff.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to pawn this off as this, ridiculous pursuit. And, I mean, I don't know what more we want. From me, Jim McMahon, Eben Britton, we started these companies so we can get this, continue to grow this message through, cannabis brands and companies that are succeeding in this space, exposing the medicine that we've had work for us. We're now able to give this back to people. So I wish I had it. If I could take it back with me, I'd have played 10 more years. There's no doubt.
I'm trying to figure out how I can say this without getting anybody in trouble, but someone close in my life had a therapist they were talking to tell them, this has stuck with me forever, that if we discovered cannabis today, it would be sold as a miracle drug.
Yeah.
It would be sold as, this is the cure to all of these things, but because of all the stigma that has been around it for however long, I mean, we are.
Look at the study that just came out about it dealing with COVID.
Right. Of course.
It would be if you just discovered it, like you said, and you didn't have all this madness that has gone on since cannabis was the number one prescribed medicine in America up until 1934. Like,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it would be a miracle drug that they would be like out here going, oh my gosh, and Pfizer would be on it, and well, actually they are, ironically.
Oh, right.
Every one of those companies is invested fully in synthetic cannabinoid development. Aramco, Roche, Johnson & Johnson, every one of them is fully invested. Every CEO is quoted. Our number one priority is unlocking the synthetic cannabinoids development to put into pharmaceuticals. Regeneron, every one of these new pharmaceuticals coming out where they say it's a cocktail of this.
Right.
They don't want to tell you. It's these synthetic cannabinoids that are helping these medicines work. And it's just basically light beer.
Well, Well, tell me a little bit about what you and those guys you mentioned earlier have been doing with Revenant. You can go to RevenantMJ.com to get more information about everything here. But tell me a little bit about specifically Revenant.
Yeah, Revenant is our brand. We've got all over the state of California right now. We're just doing licensing deals in Arizona, New Mexico, Connecticut. We're coming into Missouri, Oklahoma, Nevada. We're all over the state of California right now. If you can go into a shop, you can get Revenant products. We're continuing to grow our footprint across the state, and grow this company. It's having tremendous success and reception by the cannabis community and the patients that are out there that are hearing our stories. And anybody that comes from anywhere around the country with just a driver's license can come purchase this in California and in these other states where it's full recreational. So that's our goal, is to continue to get this message out there of how cannabis has helped us resolve these issues in our lives that are very real and that most people deal with. It might not be at my level.
Right.
It might not be at Jim McMahon's level. I'm not even there at that level. But look at what's happened to us, right? And each one of us is having the same experience in cannabis. And everybody has that opportunity because of this thing called a cannabinoid system they won't want you to know about. It's really unfortunate.
Well, it's awesome that you're at a point right now where, again, this has continued to be something that has, even just in the last handful of years, I know that we have, I think, culturally maybe turned a little bit of a corner. Maybe politics are lagging behind us on that a little bit. I'm not sure, but
yeah, politics.
I am sure
Good
about
Lord.
that. That's definitely lagging behind us.
Yeah.
Let me ask you. I want to ask you a football question. I want to ask you some more nonsense questions, or just some nonsense questions here, because you've got a lot of fun things in and around your life as well. But talking about the Super Bowl ever so briefly. You look at what specifically this Rams defensive line is bringing to the table. You had to line up against some incredible dudes over the course of your career. I want to know who you look back on. You think, man, either that guy kicked my ass, or I'm incredibly proud that guy did not kick my ass, because that was a challenge. And then you look at what the Rams can do here with Aaron Donald. What makes him special? Von Miller still doing it at this stage in his career. Yeah,
no, playing the NFL, you get to play against these talented players, man. You're one of them, but you're still a fan, as I was, But I came from San Diego State and had to fight and claw and scratch. So, every opportunity I had to get to play against a great player, Michael Strahan, Reggie White. I remember sitting in my dorm room watching Reggie White just destroy the Patriots in the Super Bowl and destroy this offensive tackle, going, I could block that guy. I could totally block that guy. What is wrong here? I could be playing the NFL right now. My roommate's going, hey, man, shut up. That's Reggie White. He would destroy you. My first game in the NFL preseason, Lambeau Field against Reggie White.
Incredible. How did that go? First preseason
Thank
game.
God they ran a bunch of play action. He was out of there in one series, and I caught him at the end of his career on the comeback tour where he was with Carolina, and I was very well schooled and knowledgeable about making sure I stayed hard on my inside arm and my leg and very anchored, so I don't just get clubbed over and tossed like a rag doll. It was awesome, man. I had a great time playing against some of the greatest talent that's ever been in the NFL. It was a great experience.
I want to ask you about something else you've done more after your career as well in the music world. You've been around music forever. You've played in a lot of bands. You've released some music on your own. I personally am a big fan of the phrase perpetual death mode. I want to know your favorite of your band names, and also the worst band name you've ever had.
Yeah, PDM, man. PDM, perpetual death mode. That was I was nursing a back injury in Arizona and drumming in a death metal band when I wasn't in the gym rehab,
awesome.
and that was awesome, man. With my buddies down there in Arizona, and then Delta Doom, we came out. We were touring with Crowbar and all these others, playing drums again, singing and playing drums at the same time. It was awesome. A little doom metal project, 2-piece. We played a show, killed it up here on the Strip. And who's that? Mr. Sal, the Spider. There he is, John Sally.
I think that's a holding,
sir.
technically. I think that kind of flag.
But, having the music career and being able to do that outside of football has been a saving grace, playing that guitar and getting up on stage and being a part of that, man.
Is there a high school band name you look back on with a little shame, or at least a little bit of, wouldn't keep that one back around now?
High school, I didn't get into bands in high school, man.
Okay,
I was too
all
focused on sports, unfortunately. It wasn't until I went to New Orleans, got to be around all those great bands down
kidding.
there. Oh, man, it was awesome. In every genre of music.
Yeah.
From the Nevilles to Pantera.
Yeah. Who do you like? Who's put something out recently that you say, oh, right there, that is an album of magic. I love that bleep right now.
God, it's unfortunate that we're not in the album days anymore.
Yeah, sure.
Sure. But all these great singles out here coming out, I'm a huge fan of a lot of music, but the underground stuff is, what I mentioned. I'm in the punk scene right now. The punk scene's going to save America. All these great punk bands coming out. You got a band called Scowl, this lead singer chick. She's insane. And then you got this other group of black guys that are coming back around, like Bad Brains. What the heck's the name of their band? Dang it. I want to prompt them so bad.
I'm just here for recommendations, so you let me know if you figure it out later.
Man. But love punk rock, that was my passion growing up. And then country music, metal, all these things, hip-hop stuff. Love all the 3-6 Mafia, real stuff, that comes out the streets. Grew up in Southern California with everything here, So, yeah.
It's a pretty good scene. It's a pretty good music scene. I love just about everything. I got just about every band's got at least one song. You know what? I can appreciate what they're doing there. I love talking about music with people that make it like you, not just people who enjoy it like I do. I don't have the agile fingers or certainly the pipes to hang with that. So I have a ton of respect for that.
Right on, man. You never know. It could open up, brother.
That's what I'm going to try if you got any tips, I'm going to try to warm up my voice.
Get started. Pick up a guitar. Yeah.
Kyle Turley, tell again, revenantmj.com, excuse me. That's revenantmj.com. You can go check out more information there about everything you guys are doing. Whenever you guys crack into the Missouri side, I'll give you a business card, all right? And we'll chat again then. Thank you for making the time.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate y'all having me. Go Rams. We'll hopefully be bringing it home back to Missouri. I know even though when we were in St. Louis, they still traveled from L.A. I hope the Rams fans still, a bunch of them are here, and when they win that Super Bowl, they stand proud. I'm sure they will.
Better than watching Joe Burrow win one. He's hurt my feelings lately.
I know,
Kyle
man.
Turley
Thank you.
here on
Appreciate
Almost Entirely Sports. Thank you. A true journeyman, Kyle Turley, with us here on Almost Entirely Sports on Radio Row in Los Angeles. All of this week and all of our coverage is brought to you by a whole bunch of our absolute favorite sponsors. No accident that CBD American Shaman is among them. Go on into your local shaman store for a free sample of stress-sacking CBD. You want an on-ramp into the world maybe that Kyle and I were talking about there? Go check out CBD American Shaman and talk to some of the folks there. What is it that you need? How can CBD help you out? Go check it out at CBD American Shaman. Also brought to you by Xfinity, Twin Peaks, Buck Roofing, special thanks to Bushnell as well, and brought to you by Ruback Fine Jewelry. I'm so excited to talk about Ruback on this show because they did such a good job for me. I went to Ruback not having known who was going to be there, not having known what my experience was going to be or what I needed it to be as I was on the engagement ring shopping circuit. I say circuit, but the truth is, I went to Ruback and never had to go anywhere else. If you are looking for an engagement ring, please take it from me. I'm telling you, this was somewhere that I went, and then they came over to the Sports Radio 810 WHB side. I talked about them on the post-game show. Get to talk about them here now on AES on Radio Row. This is one of those things where if you DM me on Twitter, it might take 6 months for me to see it, but I'll tell you about my story about Ruback and why I am so confident that they are the jeweler for you. If you want to have a Valentine's Day proposal, you want to get into that process. Valentine's Day obviously is very close around the corner, but you want to be planning around maybe a gift for that. You can walk into Ruback and see what they have on hand there. But for Renee and I, they made an incredible custom ring that both Renee and I are so happy with. And on a regular basis, we'll just sort of both be looking at her ring finger and going, can you believe this? And that's not a joke. That's a true story. True to life on a really, if not daily, weekly basis. I have so much love and appreciation for Hal there at Ruback. You want to get in touch with them, go to their website, ruback.co. They've been serving the Kansas City community for over 100 years. And also, a custom design means a custom budget for you. So you say, hey, I don't know what I'm going to spend. I don't know what it's going to cost. I don't know. These are all questions that I went into that process with. And then Hal at Ruback, Hal answered all of those for me and then helped make an incredible ring that is truly one of a kind, truly custom to Renee and I, that I love so much and am so very, very grateful that we found the folks at Ruback Fine Jewelry. Again, ruback.co to get all of the information to get in touch with them. But I am a lifelong fan in a very literal sense, and I'm looking forward to seeing if I can't get myself a little bit of a blingy wedding band, perhaps. Vary my brand, vary my speed. Got to get a little flash there, and I know Ruback will be the place that helps me do that. I'm excited. Just thrilled with Ruback, and so very glad that they're helping provide our Radio Row coverage for you here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. More from Los Angeles whenever we come back here on Almost Entirely Sports.
You are listening to Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco on Sport.
is SportsCenter.
Hello there. I'm Mark Robbins, and call this Upset Wednesday in top 25 college basketball, men's and women's, starting with 6th-ranked Houston on the men's side. The Cougars led early, but at the finish, the SMU Mustangs kicking up their heels at home.
Davis, zone defense here for Houston. Weathers at the free throw line, right wing, Zach Nuttall. Three! Goes! 81-77 with 2:10 to play. Nuttall was set the 18 minutes after the first 2 minutes of the first half because of some bad decisions. He's had an epic second half tonight.
All the fun on Learfield as SMU gets the victory over number 6. It was an upset at the rack in Jersey as Rutgers holds off 16th-ranked Ohio State 66-64. And in the Big East, Seton Hall at home beats number 25 Xavier by a bucket. But the biggest upset of them all might just be what happened in Connecticut. And on the women's side, 8th-ranked UConn loses at home to Villanova, snapping the Huskies' 169 straight conference win streak. That's from the Big East American and then Big East Conference again. 169-game winning streak gone as Villanova beats the UConn women. Game 1 of the Wednesday night NBA doubleheader. The Bulls get 36 from DeMar DeRozan in a 121-109 win over Charlotte. A nightcap about to begin, and it's Golden State at Utah on ESPN in the app.
Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max.
Matthew Stafford is the reason that they're in the Super Bowl. If there was a playoff MVP, he would be that guy.
More from the guys Thursday morning starting at 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPN2.
This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
You know what you do after you run the ball on 1st and 10 and you get 0 yards? You run that ball again. You establish that run.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Almost Entirely Sports continuing from Radio Row here in Los Angeles. We're not doing anything right in this space right now, though, because over the magic of the telephone, we're talking to the one and only Nigerian nightmare, Christian Okoye, with us here on Almost Entirely Sports. Christian, thank you very much for making some time for us here today.
Thank you so much for having me. Super Bowl week.
It's a huge week. Obviously, there's all of these festivities going on here in L.A., but I am looking around right now, and every time I turn my head, I see another Cincinnati Bengals thing. And I got to be honest, I really did not think, as late as halftime, I did not think we were going to have to see these orange and black out here instead of the red and gold. How have you taken in the last couple of weeks?
I have to tell you, I'm playing golf right now with some friends over at Pelican Hills in the Lewis Golf Tournament for the Super Bowl. And I tell you, we've been talking about the AFC Championship, and I'm still hurt, man. I'm still feeling it. Yeah.
It was something that I've never seen before, which is Patrick Mahomes playing a genuinely bad half of football. I mean, we haven't seen anything ever quite like that, at least from Mahomes. Whenever you saw the difference between how that offense was clicking in the first half versus the second, do you have a theory? Have you seen anything similar from anybody you played with, where it's just a tale of two halves?
I have never seen that before, man. I have never seen that. It's just crazy. It's crazy. We are usually the ones that come from behind.
Right.
You know, and this time it's like we're up front 21-3, and then we gave it all up.
Yeah. But on the other side, I would have loved to have just gotten to enjoy another week or two of the fun of the Chiefs-Bills game. I mean, you talk about coming from behind. I imagine you've never seen anything like that either, because some of the stuff in those last 2 minutes has never happened anywhere else in the history of the sport.
Well, the thing is that if anybody can do what we did against the Bills, I mean, it's only the Chiefs that can do that, only Patrick Mahomes. And we did it, but we also expected it to be done against the Cincinnati Bengals, but it never happened. As a matter of fact, we just went backwards. I tell you what, it's good that this kind of things happen so we can remember it. And next year, when we build up again and come back in the same position, we're not going to make the same mistake.
after the game, I mean, a lot of that talk that we all kind of look back at, we look at the first half, and they ran the ball really well. In the second half, the running game just wasn't really a major part of the offense. That hurt you a little bit, watching the Chiefs get away from the running game when it was working in a game like that?
It hurt my feelings because, I mean, we don't normally run the ball as well.
Right.
But in the first half, like you said, we ran the ball pretty good, and I was expecting the same thing, in the second half when we were ahead. But we gave it all up, and we didn't run the ball, and we paid for it.
Yeah. I do wonder what you think about the guys the Chiefs have had in the backfield this year and how closely you followed them. Obviously, Clyde Edwards-Helaire is the high draft pick. Jerick McKinnon has a really great end of the season. Darrell Williams has been around for a while and found a role this year. I mean, when you look at those three backs in particular, Derek Gore even had a couple of great moments. And you look at, how you view that position. What have you seen from those guys? Who stood out to you?
Well, Helaire is the one that will have probably helped us the most. But he's always injured, and that's unfortunate because if we had him, then we'll be in good shape. But we didn't have him. But yet, we could have used the other guys in supplement, but we never did. And I don't know what happened there. And I'm not going to question the coaches because they are up close and personal. And I can't be a sideline coach here or more than I. But all I see is that we lost the game and we gave up the points. And it hurts. I hurt like any other Chiefs fan. And I expected better. But I promise you, I think we're going to come back next year and be better.
I agree with you. I think next year at Radio Row, I think we're probably going to see the red and gold that we're looking for here now. But it's going to be a long off season, I think. One other element specifically in the running game, I had a chance to talk to Will Shields about this a few months ago and Jamal Charles a little while back. And one of the things that was so interesting to me about this Chiefs offseason, the last one that we just went through, they totally rebuilt that offensive line. And we talked about it some as they were doing that, but probably not enough. The relationship between a running back and a quarterback and their offensive line in front of them. I mean, can you speak to your time in Kansas City, what it meant to have some of those guys up in front of you that you had blocking for you, and also how difficult it has to be to totally redo an offensive line like that in one offseason and still look comfortable again next, once the next season comes around?
Well, the thing is that the offensive line breakdown in the Super Bowl last year hurt us pretty bad. And they did a great job, like you said, rebuilding that. But also, we should have paid more attention at making sure we have our running back in position, to perform also to help out Mahomes because, Mahomes, he's our quarterback and he can do everything, but he cannot carry the whole team to victory. You see? So we paid for it. We should have been able to support him in the best way possible. But it was left out there, to make up the difference, and they wasn't able to.
So you have all of this from this Chiefs season, right? We've seen them build up what they've done over these last 4 years with Mahomes as a starter in particular. You're buying in that next year is going to be even better than that. One element of it that right now, as we speak, is sort of up in the air is Eric Bieniemy. He's been, a part of this offense now these last several years. He's gotten interviews, but never another head coaching job. Right now, again, a little bit up in the air if he's even going to officially be back with this offense. Do you have any thoughts on Eric Bieniemy's role and the fact that he hasn't gotten a head coaching job despite being the offensive coordinator for the best offense in football for the last several years?
Well, the thing is that it's the same story. I don't know what is going on because Eric Bieniemy is supposed to be a head coach somewhere. I don't know what if the Chiefs promised him something or what's going on with his interviews, but he's with us, and we should be glad that he's still with Kansas City. So I can't really talk about that, but everybody's just disturbed and surprised that he doesn't have a head coaching job. And I like the guy. He's a great guy, a great, offensive mind. And he's supposed to be a head coach somewhere.
Well, Christian Okoye with us here on Almost Entirely Sports on Sports Radio 810 WHB. I wanted to ask you about something off the field as well. You do the Christian Okoye Celebrity Roast on a regular basis, and I think you've got plans for another one coming up here. I'll let you lay out any of the details you do or don't want to reveal on that front. And also, I am curious who across those roasts, who has come out and surprised you with how funny that they were, even if you did not necessarily expect them to be funny when they showed up?
Well, I'll tell you what, everybody we've roasted has been very funny. I mean, we've been having a great time. If you've never been to the roast, man, you got to come. This year it's going to be May 1st, Sunday, the weekend of the draft. So I'm not going to reveal who's going to be the subject this year, but we planned a big deal coming up May 1st. So get your tickets. Visit the OkoyeFoundation.org. or go to OkoyeCelebrityRoast.com and register out there and come and participate. And the money goes to the Okoye Foundation efforts to help kids. We do Christmas shopping with kids in December, first Saturday in December every year, started last year, and we're going to continue with the help of all you sponsors. So we're looking forward to that, and it's a blast. It's a blast. Everybody's funny.
It seems like an amazing time. Again, ChristianOkoye.com. You can go and get links out of there. And then, again, straight to the URL of OkoyeCelebrityRoast.com. That'll take you there. You can get information about the foundation and everything. Who's been the best sport, then, among the roastees? I'm sure, like you said, everybody's been very funny. Who took it the best?
Well, Willie Rolfe was the last one we did. And he was funny. It was so funny, I tell you. I didn't think it was going to be that funny, but we got him good. And I felt bad for him. His wife was right there in the audience, and his wife was about to crawl into under the table. And then, of course, when we did Tim Grunhard said, "Hey guys, take it easy on me. My mom is here, my wife is here, my family is here, so please take it easy on me." You know, but it's a good time, man. It's a good time.
It sounds like it. And also, I'm going to take away there that Tim Grunhard's soft. You know, you're saying Grunny couldn't take it. He couldn't handle the heat. That's not what you said, but that's what I'm choosing to believe that you said. So we can give Grunny a little bit of trouble around the station as well. That's very good.
Yeah, give him grief, man. Give him grief.
He's dishing it out whenever he walks through the hallways at the station. I feel like he should be able to take it in roast form. Well, so
Don't you
Christian,
think every time people dish it out, those are the ones that cannot take it.
Exactly, and that's I'm going to say Grunny is right there in the middle of that. You know, doing crunch time with Frank Bowl. Frank is here to dish it and take it. Right, he's a good example of somebody on both sides of the coin. We got to get these people to toughen up a little bit.
Yeah. Frank Bowl is great too, man. Frank Bowl is awesome. He shows up every time, and he helps out in the roast, and he knows everybody, so it's easy for him, to roast somebody.
I think he'd be one of the few people I'd be afraid of once they got up there. I'd be like, oh man, if he remembers that I'm here, if he prepared anything for me, I'm going to leave this place just a pile of smoking ashes.
Well, it's a long time for him to be in Kansas City, and he knows everybody, like I said. So if you hit him wrong, he's going to get you back.
Yes,
of course.
yes, he will. Christian, we'll let you go on this. Again, we're here for the Super Bowl. I got to ask you about it. So you look at Rams-Bengals right now. You get a crazy good defensive line from that Rams side. You've gotten plenty of good performances from the Bengals defense over these couple of weeks. The Bengals offensive line is a little bit touch and go. Matt Stafford and Joe Burrow. How are you feeling right now on the Super Bowl front?
Well, I'm on the side of the Rams, I mean, not because the Bengals beat us, but, Rams, they are stacked. They are stacked, and they are ready. And I think they're going to win this. That's just my thought. They have a great defense, and Stafford is, throwing the ball. If he doesn't throw any interceptions, they'll be in good shape. And they have a good running game, too.
Yeah. Yeah, both of these teams have kind of uniquely different running games. Do you have a preference looking at the NFL right now between the teams that have a lot of running backs that can do the job pretty well versus teams that have a guy like Joe Mixon that's just like he is the guy for that team? Is there one way you prefer?
Well, the thing I have to tell you is this. all those years that New England has been winning Super Bowls, people keep concentrating on Tom Brady, but they forget that they run the ball and they run it effectively each time they are in the Super Bowl and winning it. So running game is extremely important. If you don't run the ball, it puts a lot of pressure on your quarterback. So New England knew that, and they ran the ball effectively, and it paid off for them. So on this Super Bowl right here, whoever runs the ball, more will get an upper hand.
I love that. I love the prediction. I love that I'm going to get to watch the game that way and think, all right, we're going to see the Rams have Christian Okoye's allegiance right now, but if the Bengals run them into the ground here, you might crack a little smile on the running game's behalf.
That's right. That's right.
Well, Christian, I really appreciate your time here with us today. Again, you can follow him on Twitter also at Christian Okoye. Were you not following Christian Okoye on Twitter? Why wouldn't you be doing that? I don't understand why anyone wouldn't be. So I'll solve that for myself right now. You can go to ChristianOkoye.com for more information on the roast. That's on May 1st. And also some of the other stuff that Foundation does. A lot of information there, ChristianOkoye.com. Christian, thank you again for your time here with us. I really appreciate it. And I'll let you get back to the golfing. I hear birds crowing in the background. It sounds like a pretty beautiful day.
It's a beautiful day here at Pelican Hill, man. That's awesome.
I think I hear pelicans in the background. Christian Okoye here on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Did you know you can listen to Almost Entirely Sports anywhere, anytime? listening to Almost Entirely Sports.
Like, I was going to throw it a break even, but you were very, like, into whatever it was you were working on.
I'm working on something. It'll show up later.
Okay. That's unnerving.
You and I will appreciate it. I don't know how much everybody else will.
Wow, save that for posterity. Almost Entirely Sports. You and I will enjoy it. I'm not sure if anybody else will.
I mean, that's all that matters, right?
Put that on the show's gravestone, whenever that is. Like, well, listen.
Almost Entirely Sports. We don't care about our fans.
With Joshua Brisco.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that show was on for, what, a few months? Yeah, what happened? Oh, they were having a good time, but literally no one else liked it. Oh, okay. Well, yeah, that'd do it.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Continuing on with Almost Entirely Sports from Radio Row here in beautiful Los Angeles. Joshua Brisco here with Bonnie Jill Laughlin as well. And thank goodness it's not just the two of us, because I feel like at some point there's been plenty of us talking on this airwaves.
Absolutely.
For our people. So we're joined now by both Bob Golic and his guest here, United States Military Corps. That's USMC. I was ready to go for everything except for an acronym, and then I was all over for me. Sergeant BJ Ganem, we'll talk to him here in a second as well. SierraDelta.com is going. You can go pull that up in your browser right now and read along as we chat, and we'll talk more about that with BJ here in a second. But Bob, we'll talk with you a little bit first. First of all, thank you for making some time out here for us on Radio Row.
I had my coffee and I'm all set, so yeah, no problem. You're my first one.
Wow.
I'm so excited.
Wow, that's good.
And I looked over here and I said, oh my God, look at those red boots.
And drove you
and
over.
I didn't even see
exactly.
Bonnie Jill's.
Exactly.
No.
Are you wearing red shoes?
We didn't plan, but we've got the Red Shoe Gang over here.
No,
100%.
don't get carried away. I didn't notice the red tennis shoes.
I'll cuff mine up and try to. Tomorrow I'll come out with knee-high ones.
Yeah.
I didn't pack them, but I bet I can find them somewhere
You know
in LA.
what? Just let me know where you're going to be so I can go elsewhere.
And we have to mention he's rocking the Raiders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, did I?
In Rams territory.
In Rams territory on a chief station, I mean, we've got all sorts of wires crossed
here we
there.
go, yeah.
It used to be this used to be our home.
I was about to say, I feel like it is more Raiders country though than Rams. Is that fair to say though, Bob?
No. I mean, yes, it is.
Yeah.
It is fair, I think. And I think that the weird thing about LA is that it's a very transient place with people from a lot of places. Even when we played over in the beautifully decorated Oakland or LA Coliseum,
iconic.
Yeah, iconic. That's one of those things that says it's probably old and decrepit. It's iconic.
But there's history. There's nostalgia.
Yeah,
you
well,
know?
I'd like to have a food court. That would have been nice, too. Not some lady cooking burgers on a lunch tray, which, by the way, are very tasty.
Sure. Well, I mean, talking about the older days of the Raiders, it made me think already about, I know there's some more sort of celebration of life coming for John Madden, and that we spent a good long while looking back at his career. I mean, and a guy that had 3 different sort of Hall of Fame careers that are impacting this sport and society, everything to video games. Did you have a John Madden story or a connection with the Raiders that you look back on and remember fondly?
The first time I ever found out that my mom was not perfect. She as when I was a child, she used to go, "Oh my God," we'd watch football, and she goes, "Oh my God, this guy's he's just horrible. His shirt's untucked and his ties this, and he just looks so bad. I mean, I hate him as a coach." And I used to listen to my mom going, yeah, you go, Mom. And then I got a chance to understand football a little bit more and realize that, oh my God, he's amazing. Mm-hmm. And he has a video game.
Right.
That's the coolest part,
yeah,
right?
And so at that point, I just started going, you know what, Mom, I think I'll be home after midnight. Don't tell me when to come home. You don't know everything.
you finally found that your mom wasn't perfect. She didn't appreciate John Madden.
I hope she's not listening.
Well, I mean, we could also take a second on the Super Bowl here. I wanted to see through your eyes, the defenses that we're going to see in this game. We obviously in Kansas City are kind of sick of seeing the Bengals defense. I've had about enough of them personally. But you also look at what the Rams have done across that defensive line. Yeah. When you look at what Aaron Donald is doing, we're talking about this yesterday, not the biggest dude in the world either. No. He is just an unbelievable tactician. But you have him and you have Von Miller coming into to L.A. as well. I mean, how fun is it for you to watch that front seven all together, really that defensive line, What do they do that makes them special?
My son actually was looking. He goes, "Wow!" He goes, "This Aaron Donald looks like you when you played." Because we weren't big giant guys. I mean, we were. Probably my biggest was about 285, and we looked good in shoulder pads and that. But we had the big shoulder pads too, which gave us more of a V look.
Yeah. Right. It's powerful.
So,
That's true.
But I look at those guys and they are just incredible. Von Miller. I mean, they are so good at going after the quarterback. I mean, the fact that Burrows, got sacked 9 times in the last game. I don't know that he's going to be able to avoid that front. And when it comes down to it, I think the Bengals' offensive line is ranked like 25th in the league and something. It's not been great. So. I don't know. Being an Ohioan, I was going to go for the Bengals. But then being a Cleveland Brown for 7 years, I thought, how the hell can I do that?
Well, you're kind of in a pickle, though, because you got the Rams and the Bengals, both teams that you kind of were rivalries at one point.
Yeah, exactly. So I got to the conclusion that Sam Weish, the old coach and he grabbed the microphone one time when the Bengal fans were throwing crap on the field. He goes, "Stop throwing stuff. Remember, you're not in Cleveland." We're like, "You bastard, what the hell?" And we're on our sideline going, "What did he just say?"
Wait a second. That's great. Well, Bob, I'll let you introduce your guest here really quick, and I'll pass my headset off and let you guys handle the heavy lifting there. But tell me a little bit why you in particular are working with Sierra Delta, what it is that makes BJ's story special, and why this is an important cause to you.
Yeah, and it's USMC.
It's
probably the one acronym that everybody knows.
Except I knew the acronym. It came out wrong. Look, nobody's perfect. It's my first one of the day too.
Yeah, see.
You know what? I'm gonna put myself in the penalty box. Here's my headset.
Yeah,
BJ.
and I sat there watching you do it, and I saw your brain going.
Yeah.
Barely.
South.
Barely going. Barely.
Just got his coffee.
One coffee and one Pepsi Zero. Yeah.
Yeah, Sierra Delta. I mean, we've come down a number of years and have played in this game, but I mean, Sierra Delta, the idea of bringing, bringing health to the veterans coming back, and a lot of the stuff they do is with. Obviously, we've seen a lot of the dogs out and about, and you guys are, when we saw the dogs. I mean, I was told that there are service dogs and then there's life buddies.
That's right.
Because one of the guys I talked to once said one of the biggest problems I had was when we came back, I was lonely, and I just couldn't relate to anything. And something like a life buddy. I mean, hell, anybody that has a dog wants it to be your life buddy, and and stay with you. So I mean, that's something big.
It really is, and thank you guys for having me on, Bob. Thank you always for being a great ambassador. You know, I'm very wordy. Now I don't have to be as wordy.
I'm going to take a breath.
Now, BJ,
Bonnie,
you're a good friend of mine.
Yes, ma'am.
I've been supporting your cause for so long, and I love that every year you're able to get these amazing athletes on the field and then bring, the NFL greats.
She said that because she was on the field yesterday.
Right.
And I'm one of the NFL legends.
One of those amazing athletes.
Talk about pass rush. Did you see me?
I saw that. I was embarrassed.
So talk about the game last night. Incredible outcome last night. Talk about what happened.
Yeah, so, I mean, this game started as this Wounded Warrior amputee football team. Chris Pfister's dream of let's show off what these wounded vets are doing, right? And we've been doing it for almost 10 years, right? It's crazy. And we all got together, all of us, we've become family now since we've been doing this. And we needed a mission. This was not going anywhere. I think when we first started, we thought we would do it for a couple of years, and, America would move on and they would, we'd come up with the Bud Bowl again or the Puppy Bowl, whatever. But this actually took. People really liked it. And the camaraderie between the NFL alumni and the military veterans, I didn't realize how much parallels there were in that lifestyle. And a lot of people think that all you guys make millions of dollars and you all live in Beverly Hills, but it's not the case. A lot of these guys are lunch pail guys, and same with the veterans. And then once you're done in the NFL or you're done in the military, there's no other organization you can join that's going to get anywhere close. That's the elite level. there's only 18 million veterans in this country, right? And it's shrinking.
And isn't it the camaraderie too? Because that's what I missed.
Yeah, it
when,
is.
When I got, and you weren't in the locker room. It wasn't like they were naked or anything like that. It was just you were in the locker room with a bunch of guys every single day, and you knew depending on how long you were there, you knew their families, you knew their kids, you knew all that
You're fighting
stuff.
for each other.
Yeah, and you're fighting for each other. But I mean, for you guys, it had to be even more intense.
You know, it really isn't.
Really?
It's just different, right? I mean, that's one of the things that we're trying to do with this Stars and Stripes Bowl now, right? Is trying to utilize how veterans are more alike like the average citizen than we are different. Because I think veterans, we have a responsibility right now in this country to try to move forward and help bring this country together. We've got a lot of tough issues to solve. And that's where I think starting with dogs. I mean, Bonnie Jill, your organization, you know the work we're doing. And so what Sierra Delta is doing is let's put this to scale, all right? Everybody knows that all dogs are basically service dogs, all right? What we're arguing about is the access. And those are 3 tests. So what Sierra Delta has done is created a digital platform where Bonnie Jill's organization, private trainers, service dog academies, Petco, PetSmart, everybody can join in, and then we can track the training and offer the services. Sierra Delta offers training grants to veterans, but we also provide videos. We provide ways for them to connect with each other on a scale of I love America and I love dogs, right? So we got 18 million vets. 70% of American homes already have a dog in it, so I can assume 70% of the vets have a dog at least, right? But what we're finding is it more. So we've got everybody on common ground, right? It doesn't matter the era. It doesn't matter if you're combat. It doesn't matter. This is a wellness program. How Sierra Delta is different is we're not making this about disability. If we haven't learned in the past 2 years that we all can get a little bit better and that all of us need help at some point in time and that it comes in waves, no matter what trauma we experience, whether it's in combat, whether it's in an abusive relationship, whether it's just the stress of life, right? And just trying to make it to the next day. It comes in different waves, and we all cope with it differently. The thing about dogs is they need us as much as we need them, right? And in my darkest moment in 2006, after being retired from the military, it was an untrained, untalented Old English Bulldog that I bought off Craigslist that now, after I've immersed myself in this world, I know is not the right thing to do. Don't buy dogs off Craigslist, right?
Right.
If you're a veteran, sign up with Sierra Delta. Will help you find the right dog for you. But that dog, I knew if I would have checked out, if I would have done the most desperate thing a human can do, no one would take care of him because he wasn't good at anything. He'd get slobber in places that was physically impossible to get slobber into, right? Clear a room with his farts, and he did things when he wanted to. But
sounds like some of my teammates.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But he knew every time I was having phantom pains, and he was the best relief for that. None of the medicines could touch what that dog could do. No training, no special breeding, all that stuff.
Instinctual, they're just very therapeutic.
Exactly. But it's the relationship, and it was no veterans want to be a charity case. No human really wants to be a charity case. Nobody wants to be a part of a disability program.
But haven't they been doing that with veterans a lot, trying to show, okay, they're coming back and they're hurt and they have issues, and this is so positive.
Right.
I mean, this is like the game last night was like, look at these guys. I mean, they're making the old football players look like idiots.
But that's a reward. That's what we're going to take these events and we're going to make it a reward for the veterans, what they do with their dog and getting better, and then what they do in their community.
Yeah.
Because whether it's red, blue, black, white, whatever, everybody respects veterans and are willing to listen to them because every type of person that's ever been in this country has worn this uniform and has bled for this country, right? Every person I know or every person I like likes dogs. Like people that don't like dogs, y'all are suspect.
Exactly. Exactly.
Y'all are suspect. So let's start
Is there
someplace where there's
Sierra Kitty yet?
Not yet,
no,
but maybe in the future. I'm not saying no, but
or
this
horses.
Is, or
you know,
horse,
the equine
this
therapy.
Like, again, let's normalize this for all of us. Let's not make it a thing of weakness to go get help. If you're a healthy vet, join Sierra Delta for no other reason than just to cheer on the vets that are struggling, to just be there for them. Go on a dog walk. Go get coffee. We're going to try to create dog obstacle course. Let's make a community around dog. That's what Life Buddy is. It's every other title you can think of just boiled down to reasonable and sustainable wellness.
You guys are so freaking cool. I swear.
Well, before we let you go, though, BJ, I just want to let people know, where can they reach out? Or veterans listening, where can they go?
SierraDelta.com. Start right there. Go right through the application. If you want to support, please share the message. That's what we're saying. Sign up for our emails. Sign up to learn more. We're trying to get corporations to partner with us so that we can get just 0.5% of the $100 billion a year we spend in this country on pet accessories. We can have that business fund this. Fund this, and we can solve this problem. If we can raise $25 million in 1 year, we can solve this problem in 7. Done. Over. It no longer exists. Let's move on to the next one.
Right.
I don't understand in this country why we continue to yell and scream at each other and think of new names instead of thinking of new solutions.
I'm always about that, yeah.
Right? Let's just get it on. Let's figure it out, and let's move on.
Well, incredible work. I mean, you had Kurt Warner out there.
Yeah.
You had some fabulous people. You're doing such fantastic work, and thank you for always supporting Bob. And,
Oh,
I'll be out there every
yeah.
year and supporting.
And, I mean,
every
working
year
with
we'll
an organization
see you,
like yours, like you got Hounds and Heroes.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
that's cool.
We got to all start working together.
Working,
that's where
partnering
we're helping.
Perfect.
We're glad we're going to get you on board, and then we'll just get this done.
Well, we all love vets, and we all love dogs, so
that's
thanks
right.
so
Go
much,
to
BJ.
SierraDelta.com, and then also check us out on the social.
Yes, absolutely.
All right.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Take care.
Hoorah. Okay, perfect.
Thanks again.
Yeah, thank you guys.
See you later, right?
Appreciate your time. Thank you.
No worries about the UFC. I won't tell anybody.
Look, man, only people are going to know are people all over Kansas City. They'll all find out together. Bob Golic, Sergeant BJ Ganem, talking about bringing dogs to veterans who need them. If we can't all agree on one thing in this world, that right there, that feels like the thing.
Right.
And we've also seen a great number of dogs walking around here at Radio Road these last couple of days, and you can see them doing jobs. Dogs at work are a beautiful sight. Also, I want to pet them, and sometimes you can't.
And you can't, right? You got to ask first.
But they're doing a very important job, and BJ does such a good job talking about the importance of what they're doing there. And obviously, as he just mentioned there, you are very familiar with the world of getting people help through animals.
Yes. So I have Hounds and Heroes and horses, and what we do is we pair up dogs. We rescue dogs from the shelter from the high-risk shelters where otherwise these dogs be euthanized. We pair them up with veterans as service and therapy dogs, and then we also rescue horses, and we do equine therapy for combat veterans to come out. As we know, animals are just therapeutic, and I love our veterans. I come from a military family and love animals, so it's a way to combine my two passions, being able to give back and support the ones I love, and our heroes need that more than ever.
I love the idea. I love the story from BJ of, I got a dog off Craigslist. Don't do that. He told you not to do that.
And I like that.
Don't do that. It's a great, he nailed it. Don't get your dogs off Craigslist. But that he found a dog that was just a dog. And you would always say, that's just a dog, right? And that was the beginning for him of realizing, oh, this is something that can be life-changing. Anything with paws, I think.
So are you a dog person?
Of course, I'm a dog person.
Okay, I just want to make sure, because otherwise we may have to end
No,
this
this would have been our last segment together.
Yeah,
and
it'd been sad.
We've got a whole week ahead, so that would have really been rough. Got a beloved little shelter dog at home.
Oh, you did. Thank you for rescuing too.
It was my now fiance's, rescue, but she's our dog now. You know, she loves us both very much. Exactly. Yeah. I try not to use the word fur baby, but that's just because it makes me uncomfortable.
How about fur kid?
Fur kid might be worse.
Oh, you think? I thought you said, I'm not saying baby. I don't know.
Fur
so trying to
child.
Help you out there.
Fur child? That's also pretty bad. we'll work on that, and we'll bring you more from Radio Road next on Almost Entirely Sports.
Take the show with you wherever you go. Listen live on the Sports Radio 810 mobile app and 810WHB.com. This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
We have 18 minutes left, and we haven't actually talked about anything.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Wrapping up our part of the day, but not wrapping up the week. In fact, really just kicking it off out here at Radio Row in LA. My first time being in LA, my second time being out here for a Radio Row. And it's one of those things that might be, I don't know, maybe we're narrowcasting, but I have to think that if you love sports and sports talk media, like our beloved listeners must surely, because they listen to this show, it's probably something that people are interested in, I think. And you know, we can talk about sort of the different angles of being out here for Radio Row and what it's like, and I will continue to give you updates on that, you know, over the course of the week, where we all have all these different tables, all these different stations from all around the country. We talked about this earlier with Suzy. You know, there's more digital outlets here than there used to be, right? Like the evolution of the space is fun. You get these giant stages around from some of the national places, and you have all of these tables from, I mean, all corners of the country, and everybody's doing their shows in their different ways, and it's weird to be fair. It is weird, but I kind of enjoy it from the specifically from not just talking to everybody, obviously, but like the angle of look at all these people doing some form of a similar job in these different ways, and you know, having different conversations with the same kind of rotating crews of people, and what do people latch on to and all that. I will say, if I'm going to go ahead and reach back and pat myself on the back, I feel like you heard in the last segment, I couldn't say the phrase USMC, which was the United States Marine Corps.
Hoo-ha.
See, I needed more of that. Bonnie Jill almost, I think, bailed me out there. But you know, that was my big error of the day. I think I saw BJ again a little bit ago, and look, am I gonna lie to you guys? I think we all admitted in that segment that it was our first interview we had done over the course of the day. Sometimes at Radio Row you tape things. I know. I mean, no, we don't tape things on Almost Entirely Sports.
We're always live.
No, we don't.
Always
we are
live.
always live, but we travel through the space-time continuum in different ways.
When we need to. We do what we need to do for the show.
We do what we need to do, and sometimes that means breaking the laws of physics into metaphysics,
but
and
also,
the metaverse, and the company Meta.
We have morals, and we don't go back and, like, buy Apple stock in 1994, right? Like, we're good.
Right.
We're honest people. Are we dumb? Sure.
Yes,
but
we don't even go back. We don't even go back and edit out the things that we could edit out about the dumb bleep we said or did. You know?
Why would we do that?
Because that would also make us smarter. But that's, you know, fair enough, I guess. But so with the exception of me maybe stubbing my toe on an acronym, was apparently the only thing I wasn't prepared for today. Was just, I know what it means. I know what it is. I know it's USMC. I can say USMC, hoo-ha. USMC, USMC. Hoo-ha, hoo-ha, hoo-ha. You would think that wouldn't have been my issue, but you heard that with me and Bonnie Jill and Bob Golic and BJ. You know, as we often have said, because we steal, nobody's perfect, right? And so that was my stumbling near the finish line of the version of Almost Entirely Sports that you heard tonight, but at the beginning of sort of the space-time continuum, dream walking sort of thing that we do. And, you know, it is what it is. I think I've been forgiven, hopefully. I don't know.
Yeah.
But what I was going to say before I remember that...
At least. Yeah, I think your mom forgives you. Well,
I'd like to think so. We'll see. I'll say bye to her at the end of the show, and we'll see if she texts me, you know? But what I was going to say is if we're going to go to pat ourselves on the back territory, with maybe the exception of that, you know, 30-second exchange last segment, I'm really happy with what we've heard from our guests that we had here today. I'm excited about some of the people we have lined up for the rest of the week. I'm going to be excited about the people that we don't yet know are going to be on this show the rest of the week, because that's sort of the magic of being out here, is that you have these people that are out here to talk and to talk about something and to share a story or to tell you about, you know, why Warren Moon is getting into NFTs that also help support this foundation. You know, you get all those different things that these people are here to talk about, but you see what comes out from one show to the other, and I was happy with our haul today.
So you might have to help remind me of the name, which was not a great start, but I just remember kind of playing off that back in 2018 and finding out I was like, oh, we have to talk to a fishing specialist for NBC Sports. Okay, that'll be something, and I wish I could remember the guy's name. And then we find out it's Rihanna wants him to take him or wants him to take her fishing. He's gone fishing with Kendrick Lamar, Lil Wayne. Just like this might be the coolest guy in the world. And if I remember right, it was one of our best interviews, if not the best interview from that time. And then also just like being surprised by, and again, I wish I was better with names, but I'm not. I just remember we had two old football guys, and they wanted to talk about I think one just some of the mental health issues you can struggle with playing football. Yep. And there was like a little bit of we got two older guys. Okay, this will be interesting. We're younger, and they were great. Sorry, Siri, you need to be quiet.
Siri, chill, dude.
Siri needs to chill sometimes. But yeah, it's just like the amount of times we go into an interview and you're just not for sure what it's going to be like, because sometimes these things get thrown on to you 10 minutes before they happen, and then you find out some of these people you're surprised. You're like, these are some of the coolest people we've had the chance to talk to.
Yeah, it really is that dynamic of learning about somebody or what they're selling or what in particular is interesting to you about them, and then all of a sudden you find out half an hour later that Peter Miller is the most interesting man in the world.
Peter Miller.
We got there, man. We got
I
there.
I knew once the name was said it was gonna click. I knew
it was Peter, but I was stalling every moment up until that second when I could
the Miller.
tell you that.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Yeah. I think, do we want to – oh, man. Okay, here's a question. Do we want to give out the wow, that was good award each day for the week? How do we feel about – because here's the thing.
I like that. I like it especially for day because it's just we're going to get so many of them.
The other thing
that
I
got to
keep I agree. The issue here is I think we got a couple of toughies because I really didn't enjoy everybody that we talked to today. The one thing that you may have heard me, early in the second hour talking to Warren Moon, a keen-eared listener may have heard that perhaps the beginnings of a bit, perhaps the beginnings of a new thing on Almost Entirely Sports, you may have noticed, is that I was preparing these earlier because I've learned from our past years doing this. I have a collection. I'm going to try to expand this collection. I have a collection of almost entirely questions. We talk about sports with people, generally speaking. But if I feel like the show could use a little nonsense or use a little fun on the way out, or if I feel like the guest is going to be here for it and everything, right? Or maybe also everyone's under a time constraint. So anyway, I didn't ask anybody other than Warren Moon about these today. I'll ask some more tomorrow. A lot of times that's just the clock's ticking. Again, more of the sausage being made, which I think is interesting. But I'm a radio nerd. But I made this. Rudy, listen to this sentence. Listen to this sentence.
It's a good sentence when before you even start the sentence. It breaks
I know. Well, listen to this sentence. Warren Moon was the first ever to run the almost entirely question gauntlet. Probably a clear highlight for him, right?
Yeah, I mean. I can honestly say I don't think Warren Moon has ever done anything more cool than that. I mean,
never.
He did play football in Canada, pretty cool. I think that just might be it. I think that was kind of where the career ended, right? Like he certainly didn't play in the NFL or, help change the way the game is played with kind of more the air raid offense or going to the Hall of Fame. I don't think any of that stuff happened.
I Googled him because I wasn't sure if he was a football player or if he was a spatial body that rotates around a planet, right?
For sure.
So I had to try to figure out, who that was. He's also got a strange fashion sense. He's got kind of this like khaki-ish, almost mustard-y kind of jacket that he's in some pictures. I don't know what that's about, but somebody should really do something about that. But as I continue giggling now because of the thought of this. In fact, Rudy, if you'd like, I can hit you with the almost entirely question gauntlet. And because of the ways of the space-time continuum, you're going to get them fresh, not having heard them yet, to Warren Moon because, again, the fabric of time and the way that we've been able to slice it up.
So I did see, like, on the Google Doc that you had started this, but I briefly glanced at it, and I have completely forgotten every question that I saw on there. So
fantastic.
I
think I'm going to mix them up.
technically have seen it, but also no recollection.
That's fine. I think I want to mix them up as we go as well. But here I want to get your answers to these questions. I don't have answers for them, so I'm not going to give my answers until the end of the week probably. And it's got to be rapid fire. So we can end interviews like this when we have the time. You can have dinner with any two people in history, dead or alive, but you have to choose right now. Who do you pick?
Oh my goodness, this is the worst. I hate this question so much.
Right now, give me right now. Give me right now.
Oh my! Why am I drawing my flex on everybody?
I need two people, man. I need two people you'd like to have dinner with, dead or alive.
Nikola Jokic and Markieff Morris.
And Nicolas Cage. Oh, okay.
Oh,
wow,
you know what? Nicolas Cage is pretty good.
What sports debate topic are you most tired of talking about?
Oh my goodness, is Joe Burrow better than Patrick Mahomes?
What's your favorite hobby that has absolutely nothing to do with sports?
Pokemon.
Yeah, that was probably my answer right now.
I mean, I
really
would say Pokemon's a sport personally, but
fair enough.
We're not, we haven't reached curling level of athleticism yet. I understand.
Right.
We're growing.
And what's the best movie you've seen in the last year?
In the last year?
Doesn't have to come out in the last year. Doesn't have to be in theaters.
Yeah, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. I truly think that movie was. It's one of my. It's one in the last year. It's one of. I think I've only seen Marvel movies in the last year, but it was. It's one of my favorites.
So there you have it, a bit that I think people should keep their ears out for in the rest of the week here on AES, the almost entirely gauntlet. Played exclusively by two of the great athletes of our time, Warren Moon and Rudy Salazar.
Heck yeah.
Man, I do love this radio show sometimes. Oh, just fabulous. And also, do we want to give out the interview award here for today? I don't know.
Yeah, we can do it. Yeah. What we call it, the Woe Award.
I don't know. See, here's the thing. Maybe we don't even award them today. Maybe we go back after the fact. Maybe we just need to decide what we're giving out today.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because again, I would say we could give it to Warren Moon because he was fantastic, but I did not have as big a frame of reference for Suzy Shuster before talking to her today, and she was a perfect radio guest.
I was gonna say
she bleeped on me and Rich Eisen, her husband.
I was gonna say there were two of them that stuck out, and those were the two. Suzy was, she brought the energy. She was ready to go from
absolute
just a get-go, which is, especially in like a quick interview. That's exactly what you want. Yeah, we don't got time to like build up into something good. Hey, we got 12 minutes. Let's go. Let's get this interview.
But so here's the issue with this game, though, is we play it this way. I really enjoyed our four-person chat with everybody in last segment. I really enjoyed talking to Kyle Turley, a tremendously interesting person on 1,000 different levels. And you know what name I haven't said yet? And the Chiefs.
And the Chiefs. I forgot about Kyle Turley with the Chiefs. Woo.
That's crazy because we just did that interview like less than an hour ago.
Well, I play on the phone. I play on my phone.
That's fair.
Pokemon Go. So, a lot of Pokemon to catch.
I have now mentioned every one of those names except for one on purpose, just because I want you to hear out loud that we talked to Christian Okoye. He's the Nigerian nightmare. Are you kidding me?
I got some good ones tomorrow too. I'm not gonna lie. There's one that I'm really excited about.
I think you're looking at Friday's
or
list.
Friday, yes.
Tomorrow's gonna be one of those days I think where we walk around and we just open up our arms and see who falls into them. But that's the magic of Radio Row, and I'll dare say the magic of almost entirely sports. And that'll do it for us tonight. But 8:10 is continuing to roll on because the aforementioned and previously heard Bonnie Jill Laughlin. I wrote down Laughlin so I wouldn't mispronounce her name. She's wonderful. I've gotten her name wrong multiple times. Sorry, Bonnie Jill. But she is up next here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. She did some tremendous interviews today, including, would you like to hear from Michael Irvin? Because you're about to hear from Michael Irvin when Bonnie Jill takes over coming up next. I know. He appeared to be a good interview. I was a bit too far away to hear each word. But
him and Warren Moon, I guess, just hang out, just doing no football Hall of Fame related activities. Those two know each other because they're big fan of the weird colored jackets. They're in a weird colored jacket club.
That's right. Yes,
it's
they
Michael
both have
Irvin, Warren Moon, handful of other people.
Small handful. I hear it's an exclusive club. I don't know why they insist on meeting in Canton, Ohio. It doesn't seem very central, but I've heard that's where their meetings are.
Jackets.
Yeah, that's where their tailor is at.
They were made there, made in Canton.
Well, we've been made in L.A. today. I've really enjoyed our time out here. I hope you've enjoyed listening as well. We'll be back tomorrow, but Bonnie Jo Laughlin is up again. Did I say it wrong again? Bonnie Jo Laughlin is up after this. God, I mean, see, again, if we had the space-time continuum really figured out, I'd just edit that to where I didn't mispronounce her name twice in literally a 30-second time span. But we don't have that kind of power. It's you know, you can see the future and past, but you can't do anything about it. That's where we're at canonically, and it's made for a pretty fun radio show here from Radio Row in Los Angeles. Bonnie Jo Laughlin up next. We'll talk to you again tomorrow night. Until then, bye, Mom.
You're listening to Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco on Sports Radio 810 WHB.